Right.
All right. Welcome back to the NV Online Podcast.
Number two.
Yeah, number 2, man.
Right.
You rocking with your host, Deshaun Jones, one half of NV Online.
Second half, Azar Johnson.
Yeah, man, it's been a little minute. We had a little break.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We had a lot to do. We had a lot to work on.
A lot
we
to
got
do.
to talk about.
A lot happened, man.
Yeah.
You know, we can go everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, you look online, it's a pastor getting robbed, giving a sermon like, yo.
I never thought I would see that in all my years.
I'm on my family vacation somewhere in the South. I look at the news alerts. I'm like, nah, this has to be, Facebook, the jokes, the memes.
Yeah.
There's a pastor in Brooklyn really getting robbed. That's a lot to talk about. We're not going to get into that, man. Okay. We do a lot of sports content if you're unfamiliar with us because we're new.
Hip-hop, yeah.
Hip-hop, sports, and fashion. Mm-hmm. We're going to start off with a little sports content, man. Mm-hmm. So, me and my partner was driving in the car down to Brooklyn. Yes. We get the news alerts about Deshaun Watson. And before I can even finish telling him, he goes on an epic rant. I can't wait to get back to the studio. I'm going to go off. Yo, D, you chill. I'm going to take the L on this. Yeah. He's telling me he's going to take the L. So whatever comes out of Azar's mouth, he's taking the L, but I got his back, though. That's how we do.
That's right.
But, yeah, let's lob it up, man. So to give a little context, we're going to start off with Deshaun Watson with our sports topics. Mm-hmm. So we all know the situation Deshaun Watson's in. We even published a clip a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. But then there's something new that came out, the verdict with the NFL.
Yeah.
So I'm going to lob it up to you. I'm going to let you take it away on what happened with the judges and how do you personally feel about the situation in its entirety.
I mean, so what happened was Deshaun Watson, he got suspended. He after they agreed to an arbitrator, independent arbitrator, overseeing the case, which not even really the case because his legal case got settled. And they couldn't indict him, but he still settled out of court just so he can just get it over with. Let's just be honest. He just did it just to get it over with. He basically, they settled him, the NFLPA, and Roger Goodell and the NFL agreed to independent arbitrator to settle the case or to settle the situation as far as like with the league and how many games he should be suspended. The judge came to a conclusion of 6 games.
Not to cut you off. Mm-hmm. So before we get deep into this, because there's going to be a few minutes on this topic.
Oh, yeah, we got a lot of minutes on this topic.
So dealing with the initial 6 games, there was a lot of stuff. There was outrage online, rightfully so. Mm-hmm. Do you think the 6 games suffice from what he's accused of, putting the context around what other people have been accused of and got suspended for, whether it be marijuana, domestic violence, the Ray Rice situation, the Ben Roethlisberger situation, or anything? Do you think the 6 games was correct in your opinion before you go on what you got to say?
If you're going, yeah, I do at this point. I mean, I look at it from this, and let me tell you why. Can I explain why?
Yeah.
People say he only got 6 games. He should have got a year. That's what we were expecting. But he only got 6 games. You got to remember, he sat out last year.
Okay.
So, I mean, he really couldn't come back. Let's just be honest. That was a suspension. Even if him and the Texans would have deaded the drama, even if him and the Houston Texans would have deaded the drama and said, you know what, let's just, let bygones be gone, bygones come on back and play, the league wasn't going to let him back in. He was going to sit for the whole year just off this situation until it got fixed. So it got settled. He did what he needed to do for his process. And now he goes to independent arbitrator that both parties agreed on, and he got suspended 6 games. What more do you want? The judge laid down everything. Sue Robinson, I think her name is. She said basically in so many words, this is y'all fault. Y'all haven't really solidified or clarified the rules and the laws for like what happens when your players get in trouble with certain situations. So this is what I'm going to give them. And if y'all wanted this to happen and wanted to be more harsh, she said he should have got a year. But you ain't clarifying any of that. So this is kind of on you. You're not going to get me to do your dirty work. If you want to suspend him for a year, then you do it.
I get it. I get it. So to interject real quick. So all the outrage rightfully so, being on Deshaun Watson, I get. So what you're explaining to me is that the judge is saying this is because you guys didn't clarify. Basically, like, to give an analogy, we have marijuana laws that differ from state to state. So you get caught with under an ounce in New York, I think now it's a ticket. You get caught with a few grams in Louisiana, you might end up in jail for a few years.
Correct.
So that's what she's like, you know, you guys have to clarify and make it across the board, because you guys, as you said, have a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with players getting caught, domestic violence, marijuana, whatever, getting caught, and there's no set penalty. So now you guys want me to come in and be Mr. Bad Guy, for lack of better words. Is that what you're getting at?
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, you know, you're right. And what ended up happening was, after the fact, which was fine. I mean, there was a big outlash. So what Roger Goodell does, because the outlash was so big, he decided, well, no, I'm gonna appeal the decision you made, and I'm gonna suspend him for a year. Well, I don't understand. Didn't you agree that y'all was gonna let an independent arbitrator do it? So instead of you just going by the law and the rules, you decided, well, I still got final say. So basically, in other words, it's like this. Let me explain it as if it's a 5-year-old, right? It's basically, I didn't get my way, so now I'm gonna act out, and I'm gonna show you who's boss, because I didn't get my way. I acted like I was gonna be a mature, responsible adult. I've seen it on, let me say this in the most professional way so nobody gets in trouble. I've seen this on job sites, and I've seen this standing from a certain distance. A boss or supervisor say, we treat everybody fairly equally, and this is how we go by the rules. But the reality of it is that they don't do that. So it's kind of like that's what the NFL's doing. We say this is what we're going to go by, but the reality of it is what we're not. So basically, by them doing this, they're basically showing, they're flexing their power. As much as people want to say, well, you know, it's kind of wrong what he's doing. It's kind of wrong. It's wrong what he didn't say. There's also a process, and the law has spoken, and the law says 6 games. So, in other words, what I'm saying is, leave it alone. If you wasn't man enough to do it, you know you're wrong. So just let it be. It's not going to change anything. If you sit him for a year, and I guess people are mad because he didn't get counseling involved in it, and he didn't get a fine. Okay, and your point. So I mean, he needs counseling. I think. Let me say this. I heard Shannon Sharp say this, so I don't want to act like I'm taking credit for it. But he made a good point. He said it'll never be enough on both sides. His punishment will never be harsh enough. Whether they take all his money, whether they put him in jail for the rest of his life, or whether he doesn't play in the NFL, it'll never be good enough. So it's the same thing. And on the flip side,
what was the context of that? Well, like, why did he say it will never be good enough? Because some people might say, if you void that 5-year contract for $250,000, that is.
No, because then he'll still, but then somebody else will pick him up.
Okay.
So they're basically saying he shouldn't play in the NFL. He should never be given it. And let me also make this as a side note. I'm not going to sidetrack, but I just want to make this good point. I'm hearing players, okay, particularly one on ESPN. I'm not going to say nobody's name. I always feel like I'll deal with you when I see you. If we had God ever crossed paths, don't tell me it's a privilege to be in the NFL. Don't you ever tell me that. And that came from somebody that don't look like me, that declare blatant racism that goes on in the NFL, and you players playing with concussions and broken bones. They ain't no privilege to that. You see how many players that came in that league that's broke, but you got billionaires up in there in the arenas owning teams. Don't you ever say it's a privilege. Don't you ever say it's a privilege. It might be a fun, great time in your life, but it is not a privilege to play with concussions and broken bones and be broke at the end and have nothing to show for it. Meanwhile, you got a family and kids out here to provide, or whether you don't, you got people depending on you. So don't ever say it's a privilege. There's no privilege to that. They've helped create $1 billion corporation, and they're not seeing $1 of it after they get done playing. So please spare me that speech. Now back to what we were talking about. Go ahead, what you was going to ask me.
No, I was letting you go ahead, man.
Yeah. Because I kind of feel like there's so many angles at this, but let me start with this with Deshaun Watson. There was a process. They went to it. You didn't like what they did. So because of the public outlash, now you're going to come back at him and you're going to say, well, he needs to be suspended for a year. I do think Deshaun, and let me say this as a personal say, he does have issues. For whatever reason, where there's smoke, there's fire. So maybe you're not guilty of everything that's being accused of, but
allegedly.
you're guilty of something. There's something that you were involved in, that you put yourself in a situation.
Facts.
So hear what I'm saying? Like you might, you know what I mean? For example, let me put it this way. You got friends that sometimes they moving in a way you can't be over there, man. But if you let them come with you and they say, yo, hey, I got to go make a move, and you ain't really asking, and then they do something and you get locked up, you saying, well, how could this happen? I ain't really know nothing. But you as a grown adult know better. And you already knew what the situation was. So even if you didn't know, you kind of had a gut feeling like, yo, I can't be in those situations. So I think with him, he does. But the process is, let me go here. This is where it goes. On a bigger stage, how this is going to affect. If the players don't stand up, this is going to get worse. It's going to get worse.
You give some examples because just for the viewers watching.
Every time a player gets in trouble, Goodell comes down and lays down the hammer. And what I'm not liking about the NFL is they keep playing police. Like, well, we need to investigate this situation. No, they got cops for that. Let's also talk about with Watson. They couldn't even indict him. Any lawyer will tell you can indict a ham sandwich. You couldn't even indict this kid with all the cases that came down. Young man, I'm sorry. You couldn't even indict him. So my point is moving forward, you're trying to play judge and jury, and you're trying to say, you know, every time a player gets in trouble, it's a bad reflect on our league. Well, I saw players get in trouble. I'm not going to give my age, but let's just say this. I watched the Cowboys get in trouble. I watched
talking about the 90 Cowboys team.
Yeah, that was wild.
Because I just saw old boy on a podcast. You know, Michael Irvin. Mm-hmm. Was it Michael? Is it Michael Irvin from the Cowboys? Yeah. Giving a little story about young T.O., rookie T.O. That's how him and Mike Tyson went. That you guys got to go watch that podcast. And he said, I had to go tell rookie to get up out of here because things was about to get crazy. Yeah. But go ahead about the 90 Cowboys.
So the 90 Cowboys is wilding, right? That's just stuff we knew about. They were doing things. I mean, Deion was doing things even before he got to the Cowboys. He was wilding out with women and stuff like that. So here what I'm saying is like, and I don't mean that he's doing anything crazy, but here what I'm saying, the Cowboys were getting in trouble. Did anybody stop watching the game? The Cowboys are the biggest franchises in history. Nobody ever,
For what?
For like popularity. Yeah, it ain't because of winning right now. But hear what I'm saying, back in that time, and I know what you're going to say, well, Azar is social media and this and that, and I understand all that. But understand, like, nobody stopped watching. It's the same thing, and I'm going to pull a race card. When there's the blatant racism in the NFL, nobody stops watching. Nobody stops watching. When it's the blatant, like there's certain things that with Roger Goodell's doing, nobody stops watching. So don't give me the speech about... Go ahead.
Just for viewers, you know, sometimes we go through these podcasts and we talk a little fast. Mm-hmm. So again, we might get a subscriber or viewer who might say, well, what is Roger Goodell doing? Can you just give me something that you deemed, that you saw from Roger Goodell that you were like, okay.
So we're going to go into this next topics right after this. But example, Stephen Ross from the Miami Dolphins. When Brian Flores talked about that situation, he made it very clear that Stephen Ross was trying to tank games and do what he did to try to get high draft picks. He's also trying the platinum scheme of what he was doing because he wanted a certain quarterback. Mm. I'm not sure if he got the quarterback he wanted or how it was going, but he was trying to make Flores tank games. He was basically doing it. He also tried to scheme to get Sean Payton and Tom Brady in Miami. That's what he really wanted. So understand what I'm saying. When Goodell didn't come down on the hammer on that, he just turned the other cheek. What they did is they took one of his 2 first-round draft picks. They took one of them away.
Okay.
So, I mean, and then you gave him $1 million fine and then said he can't be in the office, I think, until October, November. Really? How many owners you think really hang out in the NFL office, in their office, in the stadium? They're billionaires. Really?
They got better places.
That's what you think? But the players, you come down so hard on them every time. I mean, my God, if anybody gets accusing them of anything, you ready to throw them out of the league. And you're saying that they got to go through a process. What process, man? I don't really see you doing too much. And he's got so much to say, and he works for the owners. I get it. The owners are his boss. But how about you take that same energy and start calling these owners out about the blatant racist practices in the NFL? I don't see you beating your chest on that and doing that and playing sheriff to that because the guy who cut the check is what owns it. Mm. So mind you, and let me also say, Goodell's not only the only culprit in here because Maurice Smith, that not nice guy. He thinks he's a smart guy. The guy that runs the NFL players, the dude.
Talk about it.
You did this CBA and you agreed to let Goodell have the final say on things. Why would you do that? The NBA don't do that. The Major League Baseball don't do that. We ain't giving you that power, man. What's wrong with you? So at the end of the day, why would you do it? You don't do that. Because you know what Maurice Smith thought? He thought, I could go back to court and I can fight this. No. What the courts keep telling you, when Ezekiel Elliott got in trouble, the courts kept telling him, you gave Goodell this power. We can't do anything. So all you can do is take it to court and postpone it and play for a little longer until you got to eventually just do whatever Goodell says. So they signed their life on a dotted line. You gave him all the power and control. I would say from this situation on, y'all, when they come back to the table, you make it clear Goodell does not have the final word. If y'all players don't start staying up now, y'all going to be fighting for pennies and scraps. Y'all lucky y'all getting the contracts y'all getting now. Because trust me, the NBA is about to feel it next with the bozos that's over there.
So did they sign the same deal that Favio Foreign signed in Mase for 5?
It feels like it, right? It feels like it, don't it? Don't it feel like
that's a whole nother topic we're going to get into, but let's get back to it.
So the whole thing with Deshaun Watson, there's so many layers to this. And I think he can fight it. I think he can fight it in court. Because if I'm not mistaken, I heard a report that he was. And so let me leave that alone. But he can fight it. He can prolong it. And what can happen is he can end up playing. Until they just go to court. But I think it's going to end up eventually because I think Goodell wants it to go to another arbitrator. So basically, you just want to keep taking it to court until somebody gives him a year. And then you want him to have counseling and then you want to have him anything. And let me make this clear. Whatever he did, if he did do it, then he needs help. Let me say that first and foremost. But as of for right now, with me, if he plays, it does nothing to the way I'm looking at him right now. I mean, it is what it is. You get help. You start your life. You get up every day. From coming from a person that has been through ups and downs in life, you can only control what's in front of you. So just get up every day. If Watson is ever listening to this or hearing this, get up every day. Work to be the best person you can be, and trust me, this will go away. This too shall pass. Because I saw Ben Roethlisberger do some crazy stuff, and nobody ever remembers that.
Please talk about it, because people call me such a fake Steelers fan. How long you know me for? All my life, right?
Yeah,
I've been a Steelers fan since '93, since I was 6, 7 years old as a little boy. Shout out to my stepfather for introducing me to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But yeah, I called Ben Roethlisberger out, and you're not a real fan. Why? Because if this was somebody else that caught them same multiple accusations, especially one of them was on allegedly in a college dorm party or some.
He's got caught twice, and he only got 4. Originally, he got 6 games, and then they brought it down to 4. So I don't, like I said, they're basically doing. My point is to all this is because I don't want to sound like I'm all over the place. They're basically coming down hard on him to make an example. And I'm also hearing the whispers of, and these are the female fan base. Okay, they're not protecting women. They're not protecting young black males either. That's my response to that. If anybody wants to start, specifically somebody on ESPN that's a host on the show, that's a mediator, she keeps saying they don't protect women. They don't protect young black men either. Welcome to my world. As sensitive as that sounds, welcome to our world. Because that's the world we live in. Mind you, let me just make an example. And once again, I'm not sidetracking. Peyton Manning, when he comes in and gets drafted, he was going to be the number 1 pick, get millions of dollars, right? They're not going to go after Peyton Manning because they know what comes down on that. They know, you can't get nowhere near Peyton Manning. The cops will get you, and it'll be a wrap. Michael Vick, they will go after. Meaning, in other words, dudes from the hood is going to try to get at him. They're going to try to get him. That's why Plexico Burris was so running around with a weapon. I ain't gonna get into that either. But to make the point of what I'm saying is that there's a lot of problems in the NFL, and this is just a distraction because you got bigger issues than Deshaun Watson, and you seem to keep claiming that. I do, and I don't want to sound chauvinistic. The NFL is predominantly male. There's nothing but males playing on the field. So what I'm saying is that when you're talking about the women and you're saying the women and you're saying you need to protect the women, I'm not trying to sound insensitive here, but I'm trying to figure out they can't go on dates with the players. What are you saying right now? That's not Roger Goodell to go monitor every player with what they're doing with a woman. And let me be honest, some of these guys, I'm not going to make excuses, but coming out of college, you kind of knew their situation. And they're around a lot of women. I've seen it, and it's all good. And then again, the NFL, it's all good, and sometimes things happen, and sometimes things shouldn't happen. I don't know. I don't really kind of want to touch that area. But when I start hearing the thing about protecting women, I want to know what that necessarily means. I just want to understand, because I haven't heard any women in the office. Matter of fact, let me get this one last point. The Redskins owner, he's accused of a lot of sexual things against women. I don't really see him getting suspended.
So that's where I want to stick with, because I don't want. Got to be careful. Mm-hmm. Somebody might see this. Oh, look at you guys being. I forgot the word. Whatever the word is in social media. What would you say? Chauvinistic.
Yeah, chauvinistic. Yeah.
Okay.
Like insensitive to women.
Okay.
Yeah. Like
I want to parse this correctly. So the backlash. So what you just went out with the owners of the Washington. The Commanders.
Yeah, they're the Commanders.
I got to say the correct
word.
Their
name done changed 3 times, man. It's okay.
Because, again, I'm more the basketball guy. You're really on football. So the Washington Commanders owners accused of multiple things, and you're saying, from your point of view, that you didn't see the backlash from the media or the owners or the courts from what he got accused of, as opposed to Deshaun Watson and others.
Right.
Okay.
He sat from a vacation home or boat and had and answered all the questions that Congress wanted to talk to him about. Because mind you, the NFL ain't really did nothing to him.
So nothing. I think that's a better point. That's a better way to parse this, because again, not gonna go back and forth with the somebody took this out of context of what we said.
Right.
So just to make the point. You're saying you saw owners get accused of what Deshaun Watson got accused of, and he got to sit in his billionaire mansion, vacation home, answer questions, and not give up his ownership of an NFL team.
Nope, nothing. I don't know what Goodell has really done. He didn't tell him to stay away from the team. He ain't do nothing. You get what I'm saying? So I don't understand. Like I don't know why you not coming down on him like that. And I know some of the stuff I'm hearing about with Watson, I can't lie. It's kind of...
I can't condone it because my name is Deshaun. We got the same name. Unfortunately, we're not related.
When I read some of this, I had to stop reading it. And I know as being like professional journalists, we can't, you just can't stop reading. But I couldn't really read any more stuff. That, like, if that was true, then you need... Just the fact that you put yourself in that situation... The punishment that they were going to give you, I wouldn't have blinked an eye about giving a year. We all saw that coming. We all expected it. But once they gave him 6 games, it is what it is. What do you want? You know what I'm saying? What more do you want? They took it to independent arbitrator. Let me say this. Like I said, I'm not going to defend Deshaun Watson. You couldn't even indict him. So if you can't indict him, and you couldn't, and you tried it twice. Let's be honest about that, because nobody talks about it. You tried it twice and it didn't work. And then you took him to an independent arbitrator, and the arbitrator told you, like, yo, look, y'all need to go deal with this. Suspending him 6 games. Let it go. Because the longer y'all keep prolonging this, the more it's going to be out there, and it's never going to go away. So I just, like I said, there's so many layers, but that's just the top layer I wanted to talk about.
All right. I think we spend about 20 minutes on that part. So we'll stay updated as this case goes along and give our analysis on what's going on. So since we're already in the NFL lane, let's stay there. We're going to start off just a little bit. What you want to go?
The Dolphins? What are you talking about? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So we're going to start off with the AFC.
The AFC East?
Yeah.
Okay, you wanted to go with that. Okay.
Oh no. Hold on.
With Steve,
What you want to go?
With Stephen Ross.
Okay.
Okay, so the Miami Dolphins, it came out in reports that he got caught red-handed, and basically what he did is he was tampering. He was trying to basically, we all know he was trying to tank games.
Okay, that's what you was alluding to with the Deshaun Watson situation.
With Flores that came out last season, at the end of the season, he was let go. there was reports that he wasn't happy with the front office, which I don't know what was going on. I don't know why you brought this guy in here. Like, you brought the general manager in, and general manager brought in Flores. Why did you bring him in if this is what at what point did you interview him and say, yo, he's going to be a yes man? Because you could tell by Flores' character, he's not a yes guy. So you were going to have him come in here and tank games because I think either you wanted two or another quarterback. There was reports that Flores came on a boat somewhere and saw the kid that they really wanted, and then he got up and left because he saw what was going on. It was goofy. So, Goodell finds it, he's offended by it. It's a bad look on the league. So he takes one of his 2 first-round draft picks, and then he fines him $1 million, and I think he can't really be around the team for like 2 or 3 months.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, I mean, mind you,
he's shaking in his boots.
He still gets the money. It's just, and now we're finding out that it was true because I remember there was reports that Brady initially retired. This is why I think he went back to Tampa Bay. There was reports swarming that, especially when Flores got out, they were going to take Peyton. Remember, it was funny how Peyton just all of a sudden retired.
Yep.
And they were going to try to get Sean Payton, and they were going to try and get Tom Brady on the team in Miami because that team's ready to play. That team is a playoff team. If you put Brady and Peyton in them on there, they're probably Super Bowl. Because New England, as good as they're trying to come up right now, they're still coming up. They're not. The only thing that's in their way is either Buffalo or Kansas City. But I'm not going to sidetrack. Point I'm making is that there was reports about that. We all thought that was rumors. It was funny that how when Flores came out and exposed everything, Tom Brady had denounced his retirement. He goes back to Tampa Bay. Bruce Arians goes up in the office. Peyton just always automatically retired. And then all of a sudden, because he had said, yo, I just need a break. You ain't need no break, man. You was getting ready to go to Miami.
Get out of there.
Yeah, you had a plan to go to Miami. Everybody keeps thinking it's Dallas. It was really Miami. That's where you was going. So clearly you had a plan. He got caught red-handed, but nothing ever changed. Like they didn't really do anything.
So does this go back to what you were saying when we was discussing the Deshaun Watson situation,
Mm-hmm.
how there is, like, it seems like the rules are left up into interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
You break a rule, depending on how much backlash we get from the public, that'll be your punishment.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Facts.
So, sticking in this vein, when somebody gets caught red-handed to that effect,
If that was a player, he'd get kicked out.
that's where I was going with it.
So-
if it was a player,
To give a
what
point,
would happen?
okay, so Stephen Ridley, who's on Atlanta Falcons, they made it clear. All he did was bet on a few games. He was out for the year anyway, man. He wasn't that wasn't gonna work for him. So he bet on a few games. The commissioner, the league suspended him for I think it was for a year, if I'm not mistaken. Was it 6 games or was it a year? I think Ridley got a year. If I'm not mistaken, I think Ridley got a year.
Well, to be fair, what was the baseball player name?
Pete Rose.
Yeah, they can go back to that and say, well, look at Pete Rose.
Yeah, Rose is way out of control though. Rose's gambling
I think they
was way out of control.
want to set a standard because
Yeah.
not just with Pete Rose, but I'm big into basketball, so we all know that basketball referee. I forgot his name.
I know you're talking about.
But the basketball referee who exposed everything, he even said in a podcast, like, yeah, we bet on games. We even affected how the games were officiated. And he gave a story with Allen Iverson. I guess Allen Iverson gave him some comments, and he told him, okay, no problem. We'll eat this, but let's see how your next 4 games go. And Allen Iverson even commented and said, yeah, I had to look at them and say, yo, when is this going to be over?
What do you mean?
The way they were officiating, they were calling crazy fouls, carries, like, because of the betting on the game. So just to go in with the person you named, Pete Rose, and then the NFL referees, I think leagues, that's like taboo. Like leagues don't want to let that slide. So I get the year suspension looking at the record they got with Pete Rose, and then when they look over to the NBA, they got I haven't heard players betting on it, but we have heard owners and referees. But go ahead.
Yeah, so he's really was betting on games. So Goodell came down hard on him, but you didn't come down hard on Stephen Ross the same way.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? He should not be doing nothing for he should have lost all his first round draft picks. it should have got fined way more than $1 million. It's like that's like finding us $5. Like, what are you doing?
Okay,
I could give you $5.
I'm about to say $1 million, man.
That's to us that's a lot of money, but to a billionaire, that's nothing. That's nothing. If I never forgot, I watched this show called Billions, and I know I think he had like double-digit $1 billion. And I think he was initially going to go to court. The character's name is Axelrod. He was going to go to court and he was going to take the plea deal, and he was only still going to have triple-digit millions, like $500 or $340 million, which is a lot of money. But when you got like double-digit $1 billion, that's a big cut. You talking about $1 million to a billionaire? That's like to us.
Tax
like,
write-off.
Yeah, that's nothing. So it's kind of equivalent of that. That was like a slap on the wrist. And then Goodell's over here like talking like he really did something. You ain't do nothing, man. Come on, stop.
So just to interject, we've been on this. It seems like for like a little bit. Mm-hmm. If I said Azar, okay, these are the problems in the NFL. Mm-hmm. We see one of the problems is the way Goodell is treating the players versus the owners, and basically black players versus owners who are not black. Mm-hmm. What would you like to see done to remedy that situation?
It needs to. We need to go back to the CBA.
Okay, so it's a CBA issue.
But you need to get. I think his name is Maurice Smith. He has to go. He has to go because he's the one that convinced these players that to sign that deal. Why would you sign a deal like that?
They signed the same deal that Favio foreign did to Mase.
No guaranteed contracts, no nothing. Y'all walking out there playing with broken bones, playing with concussions, playing with something, and then you come back around. There's no guaranteed money. And these owners is walking around billions of dollars. They getting paid. It's like Dame said, and I don't take everything that he says to task. But if the players stop, there would be no NFL. Imagine if the players started getting fed up and was like, yo, we tired of the way y'all treating us. Yo, we ain't playing. Now what you gonna do? What you gonna do now?
That movie that came out, The Replacements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how's that gonna work? I ain't watching that.
You remember The Replacements?
I'm not watching that.
For you guys that's young, it was a movie that was based off this theory, and there was like a holdout, and the owners went and got some pretty much people off the street. Yeah, that product would not work, but there needs to be a holdout the same way there was a holdout in baseball, because you put me onto that. What year was the holdout in Major League Baseball?
I want to say 94, man. Because you know why I remember? I remember Griffey was about to break that record before Barnes steroid behind came in there. And I never forgot, he was knocking them out every night. But anyway, I'm sorry, sidetracking. He was going to break that record, and then they went on strike. And they weren't, and their union is no joke. Major League Baseball union is no joke. They're not playing that game. They're not going to sit there and babysit this is what y'all going to do. They're not doing that. No. And the NBA players are the same way. Now, there's some things because of what those other buffoons that's in there. But there's going to be.
We're going to get into that.
The owners are going to get some of that stuff back, but they ain't going to get what the NFL got. The NFL is literally we're just going to treat you like trash and you're just going to tolerate it. Come on, man. They don't even have an answer. And let me say this as a side note, because I know I'm sounding like I'm all over the place. I heard, when they talked about, as far as, diversity in the NFL, right? And I'm Atlanta Falcons fan. Arthur Blank said, we have failed. Really? You just now realizing that, Arthur Blank? You had a head coach, open coaching position, and Eric Bieniemy didn't get hired. Pep Hamilton didn't get hired. Nobody else got hired. None of the qualified coaches of color in the league, in the NFL, have gotten hired. You're the owner. You know better. Don't you dare make a statement like that. We have failed. You knew you failed, man. You went out and got the Texas, the Houston, no, not the Houston, Tennessee Titans offensive coordinator. He had Derrick Henry. Really? Yeah, really? I could run that offense.
That's
just run Derrick Henry and throw the ball to A.J. Brown and Corey Davis.
And
wow.
That's like being a head coach and you got two of the top 5 players in the NBA.
It's equivalent of having, remember when Jimmy Johnson left the Cowboys and Barry Switzer took over? Mm-hmm. Greatest coach as Barry Switzer is, anybody could have came in there and ran that offense. So don't tell me you get what I'm saying, Like you didn't notice it. You don't mean this is the one thing I say. It's like in the workplace. This is the one thing I say. They say, well, we didn't know that there was an issue with people of color. So you mean to tell me when you have a meeting in the morning, you look around, you don't see no people of color, that never registered to you in your day in your life? Do you really want to sit there and insult my intelligence? Really? So to go back to the equivalence of what we're talking about, it's kind of like that. I don't get it.
It's a lot to digest, man. Like you said, the NFL has a lot of problems.
They have a lot of issues.
And not to dismiss one problem over another. Just a lot of problems. That we're going to talk about that in other future podcasts, but I think that CBA for the NBA is going to be very important. That's coming up. And going to the NFL is going to be more, this isn't a word, so please don't kill me, more importanter.
Right. More important, yeah.
Before we get off this topic, I come to you with the CBA. I say, Azar, you get a chance to vote or have something included in the CBA that you would think that would make the product of the NFL a little better. If I come to you and say, hey, what do you want to include in the CBA?
I want guaranteed contracts. I want Roger Goodell off the list. He is not going to make the final decision. We are going to get an independent arbitrator. Guaranteed contracts, an independent arbitrator. I would take the rule. The Rooney Rule is kind of a joke. I don't know if I would even tolerate that at this point. But also if you don't show up, if you're on a contract holdout, no fines.
Okay.
Like we're gonna start working with this. Y'all gonna work with us, cause y'all getting billions of dollars and your family are benefiting off of it. And I don't understand why you're sitting here telling me what you ain't gonna do. I don't understand that. So I'm just having an issue with the fact that they're trying to sweep things under the rug. And I noticed with the diversity thing, they don't really talk about that. It's always demystifying. Let me make this clear too. To you athletes coming into the NFL, specifically NFL, because this is such a topic and an issue, and ever since, let's be real, Ray Rice was caught on tape. You athletes, especially black athletes, please, man, when you get in the league, keep, and I know this sounds corny, keep your mind off those women. Focus on your craft. Do what you have to do, because think about it. You're building for generational wealth. You are building to, even if you only play in the league for 3 years, even if you only play for 2 years, it can lead to coaching opportunities, analyst opportunities, job opportunities. Please, man, focus on your craft. The women, Ice-T said that, he said this a long time ago, I saw in a clip. The women will always be there. Leave them alone and focus. Well, focus. Let me put it this way. Do you think that, let me say this. Do you think that when Peyton Manning came in the league, he was running around partying, having all these girls and doing all that? He wasn't doing that. But he was embedded into that's in his environment. We don't come from that environment. So what I'm telling you is that it needs to be said, focus on your craft. Leave it alone.
Let me give my take. So I halfway agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't been in that position.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard successful people, and I think Kevin Hart just did Kevin Hart appeared on a podcast with The Pivot, and he talked about some of his shortcomings and how people had said to him, "Oh, how could you ever do this?" And he's looking at them and he's like, "Well, you never, I take ownership for what I did, but you never been in this situation. So I don't know what it feels like to maybe in college be the 7 guy and maybe get one look here, one look there, and then now I'm drafted." So it becomes a whole new world. So what my take is, as much as I would like to, like I said, I halfway agree with you. As much as I would like to say that, it's impossible.
Yeah,
it's impossible. So I'm not gonna say don't focus on that, because we're human nature. When you get outside of lifting weights and getting hit, like if that's what you're into, you're gonna go party X, Y, Z. maybe this has to be included in the CBA. And I know this doesn't get talked about in that vein in the NFL. If you feel like you have certain issues going on coming into the draft, is there an opportunity for therapy, even behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Because I know that's not going to be a big topic. You know, men don't like talking about that stuff in locker rooms with other guys, yada, yada, yada. But for example, let's say, what was the player that got in trouble? The dude that did this. Remember, he threw up the dubs and was like, "Oh, I'm eating a W." The black quarterback that's on the Saints that got injured.
Winston.
So he got in trouble for, I want to say in college. I want to say it was in college.
After college, he was getting in trouble.
So let's go with me on this one.
It was a sexual assault. Go ahead.
So take a player like Winston that got in trouble in college, but you know you're going to be in the NFL. The NFL has to put something in the CBA. I hate to say it, but you have to save these players from themselves. Most of these players who are African American or black from the diaspora, however you want to go with that, are coming from backgrounds where, again, they're not coming from generational wealth or hell, forget generational wealth, just
good
a certain structure.
Yeah.
So if I see a kid that I know has this potential coming into this $1 billion industry, I have to save you from yourself. I know this is, and I don't want to jump off topic. Carmelo Anthony has alluded to this multiple times. I'm going to keep flipping the basketball because that's my strong point.
No, go ahead. I'm following you.
He got pulled into, after the brawl in New York, that boxing match.
Yeah, we all know.
He told this story multiple times. He said, I forget the commissioner. Was Silver the commissioner?
Silver, not Silver. No, Stern.
I'm sorry. So Stern pulled him in. Was like, okay, if this is the image you want to portray, no problem. But this is a $1 billion industry, and we're investing a lot of money into you.
Right.
So I had people looking into your background, right? Carmelo Anthony has said this. He said, I know that person behind you over there. I know where he lives at. I know what he's doing. I know the person behind you over there in that music video you appeared in. Your homeboy over here, I know what he's selling. He basically Carmelo Anthony said he went down the line and he said he left his jaw drop, basically saying, you can either change or people are going to start getting locked up and you're going to be out the league. What do you want to do? Point I'm making is, if the NBA could see that, I know the NFL could see that. You have to give these young players, I don't want to say opportunity to box them in, but there has to be a program in place. To me, it should be mandatory.
Yes.
It should be mandatory. You should have to see a mental health coach, because this is why I said I halfway agree with you with the women's statement, because to me it's not. Let's just talk about, for example, I grew up in the 80s in the crack era, blah, 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 poor, whoop-de-whoop. I don't know what the hell it feels like to get a contract saying, yo, you about to make $2 million a year. I might lose my wig. Now, yeah, I'm grounded, but I'm just saying the average kid.
Right.
So to me, like you those 4 years as a rookie or whatever, like there should be a time limit in the CBA. Like, yo, your first 3-4 years in the league, this is mandatory. You need to see a mental health coach. You need to see a financial officer, this, that, and that. That should be a part embedded into the NFL program. So we're not just spitting you out to the wolves when you get millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then we act surprised when you get in trouble when you go back to your neighborhood. That's my take. To me, that would be better advice for the league to address the players that are getting in trouble. Because to me, telling them to not worry about women, that's only going to get so far.
It's I agree 1,000%, and I don't think it's just about worrying about women. I think it's just, what I'm saying is focus on your craft.
Yes, that I agree with.
Stop partying, and when I say don't leave these women alone, leave the partying alone, leave that street stuff alone. Anybody that's in your circle, let me tell you from personal experience, anybody that's in your circle that at that stage in life that's promoting that street mess, they're not good for you anyway. Get them out of there. They got to go. You get what I'm saying? They have no business being there. So that's my whole point. Like, just leave it alone. Focus on your craft. I mean, let's be honest. You think Carson Wentz is doing that when he came out the draft? Do you think that Tom Brady was doing that? No, none of them was doing that. They focused on their crafts. All that'll come later. Brady's got a beautiful wife and kids. He has a model wife because he focused on his craft. All the other stuff will come. So when I say that, that's what I mean by that.
Okay.
Stop running around here thinking like, yo, I'm a because you focusing on that, man. You might be a cool dude for now. What happens when you 3 years, you so wrapped up in this mess with old girl and all this other stuff, you might not be playing in the league. Don't do it. Focus on your craft. If you focus on that and get ready, because this reality. I know they have like NFL camps or whatever.
That's not good enough. That's why the spill that I just gave for 5 minutes. That's what I was alluding to.
Yes,
that little rookie program. You need a financial component. That's better than that because I'm still watching 30 for 30. I still see those takes on. Yo, I got drafted. I made $10 million and then this financial advisor ripped me off and now I'm broke. You need a mental health component for all aspects. Just to see, like, let's talk about it. There's a lot of forget players. There's a lot of people with undiagnosed mental health issues, and it's not for me to call out.
Yeah.
That should be dealt with behind the scenes because if I draft you, do I know if you hypothetically have schizophrenia? And I'm not saying schizophrenia as a catch term. I mean, you might be undiagnosed with bipolar schizophrenia. Do I know if you have that? Do I know if you have this X, Y, and Z term? No. I think every last player, black, white, whatever the race is, like that has to be embedded in that rookie camp more than just, oh, hey, this 6-week program where, because I seen it on SportsCenter where they had the flat screen and they pull your favorite NFL veteran and, oh, hey, when you get in the league, don't do this.
Yeah.
Come on, man. These guys are humans. They're not robots. They're coming into a different generation. They might be in a situation. Just peep this, right? Prior to social media, before celebrities got overexposed and lost their veil, when was you seeing when you can walk out your locker room or whenever and see this celebrity right here?
Right. Because
social media and the way these players move in this generation, yo, some of these your favorite artists is following these football players since college. They're showing up to their games. Just like we talked about old boy going to the what's his name? James Harden going to the studio with that rapper.
Yeah.
That's what these players are doing. This is a whole new different generation. So now you got this player who's a top first round draft pick. He's making $10 million. He wants to hang hypothetically, allegedly with little baby. What do you think is going to happen? Come on.
It's not going to go well.
Come on.
Yeah.
He's introducing that, and that's not an indictment on little baby. I'll just say rapper X because I don't want nobody to take that and run with it. He's hanging out with rapper X. What do you think is going to happen? I can throw a wild alley-oop. He's going to get into that lifestyle.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Like I said, that was my take from that. Like, there has to be a stronger component that needs to be included in a CBA if that's what y'all are worried about.
No, you said it best.
Now, you was alluding to something to the magazine you were showing me.
Another thing that came out in the news was Kyler Murray.
Oh, that nice contract, buddy. Yeah, I got an earful from that. Like, real quick, I'm just going to paint the picture. Like, I was on social media and the news came. Dun, 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 dun. Kyler Murray, 5 years. What was it? 200 and I want to get it correct.
40 million.
240 million, and the outrage started right away. So before we get into this, I have to phrase it because you gave me an earful. Do you think, from your perspective, so there's two components? Because then there's what I'm going to ask you. Do you think he deserves it? The second component is, did you see the backlash that he got that then led into the black quarterback discussion?
Yes,
so,
I sure did.
So that's two components. So first question that I'm going to lob up to you.
Right.
From what Kyler Murray has done and his potential, is Kyler Murray worth that kind of money? And would you have gave it to him if he was the owner? Come on. Don't be nice.
I don't know. It depends on the situation. This is where do I start? Kyler Murray basically at this point. No, I don't think so yet. I wouldn't have. What's he going to do? Hold out? Is that what he was going to do? Let's make this clear. Ever since Kyler Murray stepped in the door, the team has elevated. The team has gotten better. But let's be honest. If you look at Kyler Murray, me and you were in front of that TV every Sunday, right, watching the games. Kyler Murray wasn't the accurate quarterback. He played in a spread offense, okay, because he's only 5'10", whatever.
They're listing him as 5'10". They really saying he's like 5'9", barely.
Yeah. So he's 5'9", whatever. You have DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, really, you're basically throwing the ball up and just letting him go get it. That was your offense. I mean, you had AJ Green and you had Christian Kirk. You know, he had a few pieces, but he had a spread offense. I don't know. I mean, now what we're going to see, but then we saw when D-Hop got injured, his level of play went down. Then they went into the playoffs, and that didn't really work out well either. But the good news is that they made the playoffs because the Cardinals haven't made the playoffs in a long time. Let's just be honest. They ain't been in the playoffs in years, ever since the Kurt Warner situation. So you move on from that. I don't know. He's demanding this money, and the only thing that they can do is really just roll with it. I think they had to, because where else are they going to go? They're all invested in. You brought this coach in to do him, to get him there. You gave him D-Hop to make him succeed. I mean, you can't. You gotta go with it. You might not want to, but you're gonna have to go with it. You brought in too many people to roll with it. That GM can't turn back. And I know whether that general manager wants to admit it or not, he is on his knees like, God, Jesus, please let this work. Because he's on his last leg. He's on his last leg with everything that done came out about Kyler Murray's study habits, about
that's where I was about to go. So
about his leadership. Players have complained that his energy is bad. He doesn't really communicate.
He called cap.
You can call it cap?
Yeah, as the young folks say, cap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So he just it's just not. I'm not hearing good things. Now on the flip side of that is though.
Let me interject real quick. So he gets this money. Mm-hmm. Who's holding out right now, betting on themselves?
Lamar Jackson.
Where do you think that's going?
That's going right in Lamar Jackson's favor.
So you gave Kyler Murray. Yeah, you gave Kyler Murray. He got the money. Mm-hmm. Whose stats look better, Lamar Jackson's or Kyler Murray moving forward?
Lamar Jackson. I'll take my chances with Lamar Jackson.
What do you think he's going to demand? If he got 240, he's going to demand 250 just being funny. At least.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Yeah. He's probably going to want 90% of that guarantee because he's going to say, look at him.
Yeah. Yeah, but he needs a spread offense, D-Hop, and some defensive players. But the thing is with Arizona, what they're not realizing, they're going to give up a lot on the back end. Okay. So you let Chandler Jones walk out the door. For people who don't know, that's the primary defensive end that went to Vegas. You got J.J. Watt and the safety Bubba, I forgot his name. But he's like their two best. You don't have any corners. They don't have anything. So they got Zach Ertz. They got D-Hop, who's suspended for the first 6 games. So now we're really going to see what Kyler Murray can do. I personally would have waited. I need to see this year. This is your contract year. If you do what I think you can do, let's see how you do the first 6 games without D-Hop. Then let's also see what you can do this year. So with D-Hop, we know what you can do. Let's see what you can do without D-Hop. Because what's going to happen when D-Hop's contract runs out? We can't go get D-Hop again. We already gave you all this money. What's going to happen? So I think the Cardinals need to really think about that. But I know the GM, the owner, as much as they want to say the owner and GM are all in hoots together, I know the owner's got to be looking at the GM like, oh, you don't want to give him the money? Because you made me bring this coach in here. After we got rid of Steve Keim, and we only had him in here for a year, which was a black coach, by the way, but we ain't going to get into that. So you made me bring in Kingsbury, and then you made me come in here, and we got DeAndre Hopkins. We brought in J.J. Watt. I don't know why they did that. But you made me bring in all these players to help Kyler Murray. You got to either what are we going to do? So if you let this kid walk or this is a problem, down the line, if he goes, you're going to go right out the door with him. And I guarantee Kingsbury will be out of there too.
So the second question, did you see the stuff in the media? Because even old boy from Kansas City spoke out about it, the backlash that certain black quarterbacks are getting. Yeah. Did you agree with him?
I did. We keep seeing this. Like, it with the black quarterbacks, it's always something funny. I've been watching this. Tonight, I once again give away my age. I've been watching this since when I followed it, Warren Moon and Randall Cunningham was the man. They were the man. Warren Moon was like a pocket guy. He was like what I would want to say Kurt Warner is now, like or what Kurt Warner was before. He stayed in the pocket. He could air the ball out, but he stayed in the pocket. Whereas Randall Cunningham could air the ball out, but he was moving around. They don't get the same thing as the other guys. I mean, we're starting to see a change a little bit, but they're not going to get the same support as the other guys. It's more of a concern. Can this guy last? Can this guy do this? Can he do this? Like Josh Allen from the Bills. He's not some prototypical. He runs too, but you don't hear the same comparisons from him to say Lamar Jackson. You get what I'm saying? Lamar Jackson doesn't have Stephon Diggs out there. I want to know, because they keep saying Lamar Jackson is not showing us that he can move down the field. Who does he have? I want to know what number one primary Pro Bowl receiver does he have?
For me as a Steelers fan, I don't care.
Let me put it this way. Just off the top of your head, let me name 5 receivers. D-Hop, even though he's not playing right now. Mike Evans, who else can I think of? Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, and CeeDee Lamb.
Okay.
That's type of receiver. Top 5 right off my head that I can name. Just off my head. I can't tell you really any receivers in Baltimore. I couldn't tell you one. Not one. I think the one receiver, he went to Arizona. I think he left for free agency, went to Arizona. We'll see how it works now, because now you want to spread offense. So I hope you can do what you went there to do. But to not to sidetrack, do I think with black quarterbacks? Yeah. I don't think they get the recognition. I think they require more with less, because they can do so much. If you look at the history, I'm not going to get into the whole history, but if you look at certain quarterbacks, they never really had that guy. When did Donovan McNabb ever have a guy? He had Terrell Owens 1 year. That's it. And he had a breakout thorough year, right? And then for whatever reason, they couldn't get along. But when McNabb always had Todd Pinkston, Greg Lewis, he just had guys. He never had that guy. He never had a Randy Moss. When you look at the quarterbacks, like Baltimore, for example, because let's look at it. Mahomes had that guy. So you saw what happened when he had the guy. When you look at Lamar Jackson, he don't have the guy. He has great tight ends that can catch and move down the field, but he doesn't have that guy. He doesn't have a D-Hop. He doesn't have that. Kyler Murray flourished with that guy, right? Look at Tua. He's but getting so far with what he's got. I know Devontae Parker's an ill dude, but we'll see now. But now he's got Tyreek Hill. We'll see now. You see where I'm going with this? Mm-hmm. So the point is, Russell Wilson, he's had good receivers, but I mean, we'll see now. I mean, he's that good. He makes the whole team better. So that's what most of the quarterbacks are like. We don't need to get that guy because you can make the average guy better, meaning like it's a gift and a curse. Okay. So it's like we know Lamar Jackson's that good that he can work with these tight ends and spread the field with the tight ends. So we need to go get that guy. But at the same time, you do need that guy. There's but so long you can run the ball, get down the field with the tight ends, and rely on your defense. Because at some point, he's going to have to pull it back a notch. But if you got a guy that he can throw it up to and get the ball to, golden.
So we're in an hour deep, man.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Okay. So where would you like to go next, man? The ball's in your court.
Do you want to stay with the NFL or you want to go to the East? I mean, it's up to you. I mean, because we got to go. I mean, or we can, we talked about it.
Want to do WNBA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if we want to come back there, we'll do that.
Okay, cool. So First topic, the Indiana Fever. Now, let me throw the alley-oop and paint the picture.
Right. I'm just pulling up something on them. Go ahead.
We've been fortunate enough to cover the W since 2011, since the New York Liberty was playing in Newark. Shout outs to the people who allowed us to get our start in media from there. Want to talk about what's going on with the Indiana Fever. Now, why it's important to somebody like Deshaun. So, I live in New York. Big Liberty fan. Cover the Liberty. Shout out to the media coordinators. Appreciate it. 30% of the Deshaun family lives somewhere in Indiana. Shout out to Naptown. Shout out to Evansville. I love everything Indiana. Mike Epps is from Indianapolis. Shout out to Naptown. Vivica Fox from Naptown. I'm huge Naptown. Don't like the Colts, though. Steelers fan. Don't like the Colts. When the season started, not even when the season started, when the draft started, I remember calling you. It was like, yo, the Fever got all these draft picks, man. It's about to be on. I think they got a hidden gem. Destiny Henderson fell in the draft because you saw that suit she was rocking. Those colors was giving me New York Liberty.
Right.
Don't know what happened, but I was like, yo, Henderson fell in the draft. They got some draft picks. This is going to be a great season. I knew it was going to be a learning curve because when you're rookie heavy, you're going to go through growing pains. I didn't know it was going to be this bad this season. Are they on a 15-game losing streak?
It's just 15 at this point.
On a 15-game losing streak. I watched the post game recently because actually, matter of fact, didn't I call you last night? I said, yo, hey, they about to break this losing streak.
Yeah.
No, I texted you. You texted me back like 2 seconds later. It was like, Deshaun, it's only the third quarter. They got one more quarter left.
Yeah.
And my head dropped. I said,
what can go wrong will go wrong.
So then I watched the scrum, the media scrum. And the coach, you know, he was trying to stay positive. But he did go into it. He was like, yo, I feel like the refs, you know, weren't on their game. And I'm paraphrasing it, but he alluded to the refs a few times. He got a technical for a call. Do you think it's the inexperience from having rookies? Or do you think there's something out? Like, yeah, you have rookies, but nobody first saw a 15-game losing streak.
They're 5-29 or something like that.
What do you think is a lineup change? Do you think it's coaching, or do you think there needs to be a massive reset button? Because reset. People, it's like, okay, if we compare the NFL and I give you, you're the Atlanta Falcons, and I say, yo, out of the first top 20 picks, you got 4 of them. What are you going to do with those picks? You got 4, and 2 of them are in the top 10. What are you going to do?
Oh, I'm going to get them. Grab the best players.
Do you think they did that?
No. I mean, yes, with Destiny.
Yes,
they definitely
she fell.
Right. But I don't know what more. They had Tierra McCowan. They sent her to Dallas. So let me go over the list right quick. Just a few names. Right?
Okay.
Let me go over the list. You have Queen Egbo. You have Lexi Hall. You have Tiffany Mitchell. You have Kelsey Mitchell. You have Daniel Robinson. You have Nelisa Smith, and you have Victoria Vivens. Okay, those are names. All right. So let's be here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rookies. Right. There's 6 rookies on the team. Daniel Robinson's been there 10 years. Victoria Vivens been there 3 years. And Tiffany Mitchell's been there for 6 years. And somehow you're on a 14-game losing streak. 15. And somehow you're on a 15-game losing streak. They got rid of the coach near the beginning of the season. You let Tierra McCowan walk out because somehow you thought that was going to make your team better. Mind you, she's in Dallas playing for a playoff spot. I just want to understand how you can't not push the reset button. I don't know if they can push it because they got rookies. So the vets got to go. There's no reason why you got Robinson, Vivian's. What's the other name I just said? But whoever they got in there, like they're just gonna have to make some changes. They need to mix the team up. Meaning, in other words, whoever's your best young pieces, stay with them. The rest of them are all expendable. Meaning, in other words, when this season's over, we're gonna bring some players in here. So whoever's free agents, we're gonna aggressively go after them. No more to rebuilding. They've been rebuilding. You know what? If I can remember this, McCowan and Vivian's came only about 3 or 4 years ago because I remember when the Liberty were in Westchester. Mm-hmm. That first year, they came up there. So I'm trying to understand how 3 or 4 years later. Now, when they were doing bad then, you got it because they were kind of rebuilding. It's 4 years later. You still in the same spot.
Well,
I don't understand that.
You had this year.
So I don't know what more. And this coach, for whatever reason, and let's be honest, I know they almost won the game last night. They are losing games decisively. If you go and look at the record, they're losing games by 20 points, 30 points, 15, 20. It just looks bad all around.
Okay.
So I don't, it's the coaching, some of the players. Let me put it like this. You don't have to push the reset button. You have to just take pieces and you got to build off of whatever light you got to build off of that.
I've seen some bright spots. And again, there is changes that need to be made, but I've seen some bright spots in a rookie that I called out, Destiny Henderson.
Yes. Yeah, she's dope.
Every time I'm on social media, the fans of the Indiana Fever and the fans of Henderson want to see her play more. And I understand that's a tough spot for the coach or ownership, whoever's in charge of the lineup, to insert Henderson or another said rookie into the lineup. But I'm in agreement with you. You have to go with the hot hand. Fans of the Fever want to see Henderson play more. Mm-hmm. Rookie or not.
Right.
You're on a 15-game losing streak. Mm-hmm. What more do you have to lose at this point? Nothing. So in that loss, she had 16. I want to say I'm 51% shooting, if my memory serves me correct. Mm-hmm. Having some oohs and ahs, knocking down shots. But during the season, even early on, she'll have some good spurts and then get put to the bench or not being put in situational basketball where she can show her true talent. Mm-hmm. This is somebody that just came off a championship in college.
Right.
She's probably one of your best ball handlers. No disrespect to anybody else on the team.
Right.
You're going to have to swallow your pride and stick with your best player, which isn't, I'm not saying Henderson is the best player, but coming off the bench, she's one of them.
Right.
So you're going to have to figure that out as you're figuring out which pieces needed to be stay and which pieces are expendable to build around her. Mm-hmm. I know you said you can't completely blow up the team, but for those 3 veterans that you named, how do I say this? Because to me, I'm on the side, you got to keep a veteran. Who would you think needs to be moved? Because if you say, oh, we're just going to get rid of the veterans for pieces, now you're back to some first and second year players.
Well, I think Robinson is going to have to go. I mean, I hate to say, Tiffany Mitchell, Vivian's plays. She plays, but I would say I don't want to not Kelsey Mitchell, but Robinson. She's played 10 years, and she's been there. I mean, I forgot when she got there, but the fact of the matter is it's not working. So let Robinson go to another team and go somewhere she can compete.
You remember when we was covering the Liberty and their first 4 draft picks, half of them got sent to Indiana? Did she come from that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. So it when I say Robinson needs to go, not because she's a bad player, I just think she needs to go somewhere where she can compete. She can win. She can compete.
Dame. People was like, Dame, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you need to get out of there, man. So I think with her, Indiana, they're going to have to take their best pieces which I don't watch them every night, so I can't tell you, but Destiny seems like she gives a spark. Eggboo seems like she gives a spark. From what I saw in my own eyes. Vivian's has played hard, but everybody else is expendable. There's only about 2 or 3 players. When you look at all those names on that roster, you're like, how are they 5 and something? Like, how are you losing that many games?
Man. It happens.
So it just starts to look like there's no excuse for it. So we got to figure it out because we can't go through another year in this. You get what I'm saying? You can't go through another year in this. You got players on there that have been playing there for years. That's been playing in the league for years. I can't accept this.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So, it is what it is.
I'm going to need the Indiana Fever to get it together. Like I said, man, got a lot of family in Naptown. Shout out to the 317, man. Shout out to all my cousins running around on the east side out in Hillside Projects. But, yeah, man.
One thing I want to say definitely, and I hate saying that, taking anybody's job, that coach has to go. It's not working.
Hey,
he was the assistant. He was the assistant.
Hey, we can't give him
Okay, so let me give a point. Because we're going to go into another team soon. The Sparks let go of their coach, and they kept the assistant. Fred Williams, he's a great coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that getting better? So it's the same thing with him. He took over for the coach. Man. He took over for the coach, and it's not getting better. So we know you're part of whatever the reason why they're not winning, you play a part somehow. It's not saying it's your fault, but you play a part somehow.
Hurts my heart. Yeah. You just said it a lot, man. Hopefully the Fever will get it together because, again, want to root for you. Got a whole big family in Naptown. Shout out to the 317.
Right.
So what's the next team you want to go over?
Let's go on the West. We'll start with the West. We'll stay in the West and we'll come back to
Sparks. We sparking it up.
We can do the Sparks. So that's probably been the biggest story.
Story.
I think you said that they won today.
They won.
So they won today.
They won on a going to the refs again. It was controversy, and the NFL players are like, they're speaking out on it. It's outrage right now on Twitter. Natasha Howard spoke up, was like, yo, these refs is trash. If I get fined, I get fined. There's a clear play where they was playing the Mystics, correct? I want to say T Cloud.
Yeah.
T Cloud's coming down. It's got time. Chucks the shot. Clear foul. Everybody saw it, and the ref just looked the other way, swallowed the whistle. You can't do that. So pretty much they gave that one to the Sparks. Everybody saw it, and I hate pitting the blame on the refs, but that was one of those like, yeah, you need to get fined as a referee.
Right.
But go ahead.
So the Sparks, I think the bigger issue is, first of all, we talked about this before on a previous podcast. They were doing well. They were doing bad. Then they fired the coach, Derek Fisher. Then they started winning. They started getting better, and they moved up to midway towards the middle of the conference. And then all of a sudden, something happened with Elizabeth Cambage. So, and we're going to put this on. Liz
Cambage was being Liz Cambage. That's what's happening. You being nice.
We're going to talk all about that. We're going to put it all together. So then something happened with Liz Cambage in the game. I don't know what happened. She got into it reportedly she got into it with one of the players.
Mm-hmm.
So then the next day she wants out.
Mm-hmm.
So then they let her go. They lose the next 4 games. And then other than today, they won. So I think my whole thing, and then because just basketball with you more in tune to it. I'm gonna ask you, as how do you feel about that whole situation? Because I with Liz Cambage, I don't. The thing I guess let's start with Cambage. We'll start with that before we go on anything. She clearly had an issue. What they're calling is a divorce from the team. I don't know what's going to happen for her next, but this is like your 3rd team.
I'm going to say this.
So, I mean, do you think her career's over?
It's the Allen Iverson effect. You remember how good Allen Iverson was towards the end of his career when he was like 32, 33.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I said, yo, he should be playing till he's like late 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And then no team wanted to pick him up. And I was like, nah, he's like 34. He got game left.
Mm-hmm.
Made that reputation. Not saying it was all his fault. Getting into stuff behind the scenes, people coming out saying, I think it was during that stint in Detroit where he wasn't quite in shape, yada, yada, yada. Like, yo, they just quit on him. Nobody picked him up. So going to Liz Cambage, and I'm just going off the reports I'm reading, with the situation she got into, and then the way she quit the team, like just wanted out after leaving Las Vegas. How old is Cambage, if we look her up real quick?
I think she's in her early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So coming up, pulled her up. She's 30 years old. She's still young.
Yeah.
Still young. Still has time.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the situation. As you get older and you start in any sport, start bouncing around from team to team, and baggage starts to come with you, owners are looking for a way to punish you. And we talked about this.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying her skill set isn't needed. She's 6'9".
Mm-hmm.
Great post player, bullies people in the post, grab rebounds, block shots.
Mm-hmm.
When she's on, she's on. She's pretty much unstoppable from that post.
Right.
But I didn't like the stuff I was hearing. Outside of the locker room stuff, let me say this, and maybe some people might not like this. I didn't like that. I can't curse. I didn't like that SHIT. Matter of fact, we couldn't curse. I didn't like that shit that happened between her and the Nigerian team. So reports came out, like even outside of that, like she called the Nigerian player a monkey and told her to go back to her third world country.
Oh, I didn't even know that part. I knew go back to. I didn't know.
I'll say allegedly so I don't get sued.
Yeah.
And then I was like, hold up. Let me scratch my head for a minute. Isn't Liz Cambage half Nigerian? Mm-hmm. Like, how dare you? Mm-hmm. I don't care if I get blocked on social media, but if that situation was true, how effing dare you? Yeah. You know, that's a whole nother topic, but because I don't want to ramble on for 30 minutes calling somebody a monkey, telling them to go back to their third world country, and you're half Nigerian yourself. Whole nother topic. But when you have that coming behind you, and then you're quitting on teams, how do you expect an owner in a league justify signing you, especially in a league where players are severely underpaid? We all talk about this. The W players should not be getting paid $140,000. They should be making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. Right. So you want an owner who's already being cheap, who's already not paying women their worth because the W players need to get paid. You want them to justify signing you to a $150,000 contract. They're looking for any reason to not sign you. They're looking for any reason to not sign you, and you're giving it to them. So what do you think the owner's going to do? Yeah, there's going to be some, like me, you said, there's going to be some owner out there that's like, well, maybe she's the last piece to our championship roster. Okay, until she comes into the locker room, you got to deal with that. Yeah. So then what are you going to do? She comes in the locker room, get into one of your star players, then what? She's the last piece to blowing up your team now? Yeah. She calls some other player a monkey, then and that player punches. Because what I really wanted to say, going back to that Olympian situation where her allegedly calling somebody a monkey is, okay, then you're going to have a whole bunch of girls in a W that's going to punch you in your face. Then what? Yeah. Then what?
The smoke, yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure if you try that to Aja Wilson, she's going to knock your block off. Yeah. Then what? So she's pretty much put herself in a situation where she might be out of the league, as good as she is.
Yeah, to kind of go off of what you're saying, your sentiments. I just think what a lot of people don't also bring up is that Vegas let her walk out the door. They had no problems letting her walk out the door. When she didn't go in that bubble, they made it to the finals. And then when they let her walk out the door this season, unless they just have some epic collapse, they're looking like they're on their way towards the finals. So even if let's just say hypothetically, whether they win or lose or not, but meaning, in other words, they're going further without her than with her. That's saying a lot. So LA gives you a chance. Once again, we go over the names. Jordan Canada, Boom McKay sisters, Katie Lou Samuelson.
Great players.
Chelsea Gray. I mean, yeah, no, not Chelsea Gray. I'm sorry. Chelsea Gray left too. I'm sorry. So great players, yes. You have all these players.
The Bowman K sisters, you named them?
Yeah, Bowman K sisters, Tolliver, all of them, right? You have all these players. Y'all should have been, before they fired Fisher, they were down in the bottom. And then when they let him go, they started winning, started playing to their potential. Y'all should be behind Vegas or over Vegas. Y'all are barely, I think they're in 5th place in the conference. So that puts them probably somewhere. They're not even, they're hoping they'll get a playoff spot if they win.
It's alive with this victory.
Yeah, they're on a lifeline. Not with those names on that bench. You should not that names on that roster. You shouldn't be at that position. You get where I'm going with that? So I don't know. And then you know, everywhere you go, you've never really elevated a team. You might make the playoffs, but that's about as good as you're gonna do. For whatever reason, it just don't work. It don't work. So this is your 3rd team. You didn't want it. You wanted out of Dallas. You didn't want nothing to do with them. Vegas said, "Yo, we good," and now LA said, "Yo, we gonna let you walk out too."
As good as you are, owners are gonna look for any reason to not pay you in a league where the W is already underpaid. I'll keep saying this all podcasts. I'm one of the men that actually want to see the multi-million-dollar contract for the players. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get an argument with me on that one. The W players need to get paid. So you're in the league and you're giving these stingy-ass coaches any reason to not pay. They're looking for a reason to say, okay, go across season, make your money. We don't got to deal with this.
Mm-hmm. Facts.
They're already looking, they're trying to expand the teams, but there's a whole bunch of players coming out of college that, as we saw, didn't even make the roster, and players getting cut.
Yeah.
That's also the second flip side to that question.
Yeah.
We saw T. Cooper get cut, and I was like, why did she get cut? We saw a whole bunch of other players get cut. The league isn't even big enough to house all the players that need to be in it. That's the second reason outside the pay. So again, you're giving these owners every reason to keep you out of the league. Maybe she doesn't want to be in the league. I don't know. But from the way she's allegedly acting in locker rooms, the way she's allegedly calling people monkeys off the court and telling them to go back to, I'm going to keep saying that. Don't care if I get blocked on Twitter. Allegedly. Yeah, you're going to put yourself in a situation where you're going to isolate yourself. Players in locker rooms aren't going to want to deal with you. Ownership isn't going to want to deal with you. And as good as you are, where you should be in the league another 5, 6, 7 seasons, you're probably going to be out the league a lot earlier than what you should be, a la Allen Iverson. That's my take on that.
Okay. Yeah, and to also move on, the Sparks, they're in 5th place. I mean, I think whatever issue they have go on, it's coming from last season. You got to remember, like, Chelsea Gray and Candace Parker both left. Mm-hmm. I mean, the year before last. I'm sorry, they had left. The Sparks ain't been right since. And then Candace Parker goes. She goes
wins
the championship in Chicago. So I don't know what happened, but whatever it happened, it ain't been fixed yet. And now this is just basically the straw breaking the camel's back. And at this point, they're basically, I mean, now what they gonna do now? Who's your friend?
To me, that's the team that you get a couple veterans. I'll say this.
Now let Robinson go there.
Yeah, that's where I was going with this. I'll say this. That's the team. You get a couple decent veterans, maybe 1 or 2. That team turns around a lot quicker than it. No disrespect to the Indiana Fever, but that team can turn around a lot quicker than the Indiana Fever maybe next season. You get a nice off-season acquisition with a decent veteran that turns around. But go ahead.
Well, I think my question is to you is, like, how do you fix the Los Angeles Sparks? Like, what
I just said, in the offseason, you get a decent veteran to hold the locker room together, because what we saw, they played the Liberty where they was up 20 points. We were at that game. I was on the floor catching shots. I just saw a mix of back. I'm a Liberty fan, so don't get at me at this. I saw some bad calls by the refs, because I even got the camera footage of Sykes. Her last name is Sykes, if I'm pronouncing it right.
You're saying it right.
She drove to the lane, did a nice and one move, didn't get called for the foul. She barely flexed. She didn't look at nobody. She just, put her shoulders up, ball bounced her head, turn around, technical foul. So I saw a lot of that BS going on in the game. And then I saw some mental errors. I didn't see so much of bad play. Even when they lost, there was some veteran leadership. See, this is the stuff you're not going to get unless you're at the games or actively watching. This is why we support the W. After the game, I'm not going to say the player's name because I don't want to disrespect the player. But there was a young player who, was a little emotional, kind of had tears in her eyes. She wanted to leave the court when a buzzer ran off. See, I was on the floor, so I caught that. She wanted to leave the court without the sportsman shaking hands. Syke said, "Nah, we can't do that. We got to show leadership." Pulled her back in. Why am I mentioning that? Because what are we talking about? We're talking about locker room activity.
Right.
Sykes, I want to shout you out for that. That was some nice veteran leadership that you showed that young player that I'm not going to mention because I'm not trying to embarrass her. But that veteran leadership that Sykes showed by pulling that player to the side saying, "I know we lost. I know you're emotional, but we're still going to be sportsmanlike, shake hands, and leave correctly." So what that shows me is they got the right people in the locker room. They're literally one piece away from being a decent team. You get a decent veteran over there for the Sparks, that turns around. So that's my take on that.
Okay. All right. No, I just, like I said, they got to fix something in there because they don't win all out. I think the Los Angeles Spurs ownership too got to feel some type of way. They went all out. They went and got all the talent they were supposed to get.
That. Okay,
let
me say this before we switch. You went and got all the talent, but did those pieces fit correctly in the puzzle? Like the LA Lakers. And again, I always say this when we're talking on the W. I don't want to keep blending the NBA with the W because I want to give the W their respect. But for this analogy, like the Lakers, they went out and got all the talent, and what they get them? Outside the bubble ring.
Out of 33 and 49, you mean?
Yeah. So, yes, they went out and got a lot of talent, but did you get the right locker room talent? Did you get the right veterans? Did you get the right pieces? Did you cut the right player? Because I'm going to keep saying this. I don't think T. Cooper should have been cut. So that's the situation. Stop looking at it as we're out in L.A. Let's get some stars to fill some seats. Start getting the right, even in the NBA, start getting the right pieces to that puzzle. And both teams out in L.A. will be a lot better. Okay.
Yeah. Next team I want to talk about is the New York Liberty.
Shout out to the Liberty, man. They fighting for their playoff lives, man.
They are fighting for their playoff lives. Right now, I think their record is 14-19. They lost last night to Phoenix. They had beaten Phoenix, pretty good the last time. I think they won like 4 straight. Ever since their playoff lives were really on the line, they have really kind of bounced back. What I did see in the change, other than last night, when it seems like Sabrina Ionescu is distributing the ball and she's not the vocal point of the offense, they seem to do a whole lot better. It seems when they get in trouble, when they lose games, is when she's doing everything. And I don't think that's no shots at the players. I think this is the thing. Last year, the Liberty made the playoffs. So everybody was looking at them like, oh, they're going to take a next step because you went out and you got Sandy Brondello, who just left Phoenix, and they were in the finals. What you don't realize is this is not Sandy Brondello's team. This is Walt Hopkins' team. So, yes, you brought in Stephanie Dolson. Trying to think of who else they brought in. But you brought in Dolson. You activated Hanzo. You activated Hanzo. You haven't really – I think Brondello's still trying to figure it out. I think and this is not a shot at Sabrina, where I feel like Hopkins kind of knew because there was rumors about Sabrina was not happy with Hopkins. Like he wasn't happy because she wasn't the focal point. If you remember last year, it was Blaney, Howard, and Blaney and Howard got going. They had to get going. And Sabrina would do her thing regardless, but they had to be that focal point. Where I think is this season, it's, we're letting Sabrina run the show or we're gunning, but it don't really work. it's not really working. In my eyes, it's not going to work. Like, everybody needs to be on point.
Can I push back on that a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I agree somewhat with that sentiment. Like I said, I'm more the basketball, you're more the football person.
Go
so
ahead.
On a basketball standpoint, there has been games, not going to point to any particular one, but there has been games where she kind of, for lack of better words and for what the bloggers say, maybe she got a little gun happy.
Yeah.
I will say this. For the most part, to be fair to Sabrina, she has played within her role. Mm-hmm. She has done what you need a distributor guard to score to do. Because I'll say this, if she doesn't take some of those shots that she takes, I'm not saying they can't win. I'm not saying they don't have other scoring options, but just looking at last season, looking at this season, if she doesn't take some of those shots she takes, they're not. Right now, they're sniffing the playoffs. They're not even in that position. We both know that they have injury issues. Laney's come back after being gone the majority of the season. Yeah. And as you pointed out, that's a big piece.
Yeah.
Dee Richard was injured in the beginning of the season. So I think the Liberty issue, outside of focusing on Sabrina, whether being a focal point versus her distributing, because I agree with you on that point, has been a mix of injuries. To me, it's more injuries with them. But the games that we've seen that they won, there has been a large distribution. Like, she broke the record. She has 16 assists. So that goes to your point.
Right.
She has 16 assists. Then this also goes to your point. What was it, 4 or 5 players were in double figures?
Yeah.
So they do play better. I would say this, though. When you get deep in the playoffs, they make it past the first round. They get in the playoffs and make it past the first round. You're going to need her to do that. Mm-hmm. Palms start getting sweaty. Knees weak, mom spaghetti, you're nervous. On the surface, you look calm and ready to drop bombs.
Yeah.
She got it in her. You saw when she got fouled to the floor. Now, this is why I go back to the Sykes, where I didn't agree with that technical foul for taunting, because then when she rolled on the floor, she did her little thing.
Yeah, with the flexing.
Yeah. You know, that's some home cooking. But, you know, you want to give her enough leeway to do that because, again, palms get sweaty in the playoffs. Right. And I know she hasn't been there yet, but when she's showing that killer instinct, you're going to want that if they sniff the playoffs.
Right.
But I agree with your other point as far as them being a better team with her distributing. Because those 16 assists, she's throwing them no-look passes, they're moving, they're flowing. But go ahead.
Yeah, and another thing, too, I don't know what's going on, but Dee Richards has not been playing the last few games, so I don't know what that's about either. So I'm starting to wonder.
That's fair.
You know, with Brondello, like what she's trying to figure out. I don't know, but I mean they're fighting for a playoff spot. This is okay because let me give it overall about this. Right now, this is okay because it's Brondello's first year. She has to figure out who she wants, what she wants. She's trying to get a feel for the team that she played last year, right? That she played against last year in the playoffs. But next year, this is not going to be acceptable. We didn't bring you in here to like just get in the playoffs no more. And the reason why, not to cut you off, the reason why I say it's acceptable right now, I remember when Lambert came in that first year. The Liberty were a playoff team, but you just know they were never going
that
nowhere.
Year.
Yeah, it was a few years. I was getting tired of watching what wasn't like. But anyway, make a long story short, they were a playoff team, but they weren't going anywhere. So in comes in Lambert. And he got Tina Charles, and he couldn't get him in the playoffs his first year.
Tina Charles.
And this was Tina Charles.
Pearson. Shout out to Planette Pearson
right,
and all of them.
Yeah. This is Tina Charles in her prime, and he couldn't get her in her first year. So the next year they got to the finals. Meaning, in other words, let's see how this plays out at the end of the season, and they make the playoffs, and let's also see what she does in the offseason, because that's what's going to be their improvement. I mean, the Liberty's been around for years. I don't think they've ever won a title. So
let's just do a little research just in case.
So Joseph Tsai is looking, and being the owner that Tsai is, he don't went all out, with the Brooklyn Nets, and he's going all out with the Liberty.
He ain't do nothing with them Nets, man. Come on, don't do that.
This year you go again, man. Yes, he did.
Okay, 3 conference titles, 0 titles.
Yeah,
so
no
you're
titles.
correct. don't get me started on Joseph's side because I want to stay in the W.
Okay.
I think they will be a lot better next year when you have an off season for Laney and Dede Richard to get fully healthy. Then you also got to remember Sabrina's ace from Oregon, the draft pick, was injured. When she got drafted, she was out. When you have continuity with a player and cohesion, especially from college, that you know is coming on the team, that's going to be another option off the bench, another young gun who's going to be 19, 20 years, however old she is, but going to be a young gun that you're familiar with her game. Look at the games where she's having 13 assists here, 10 assists here. You're going to have Howard playing the pick and roll with you. Then you're going to have, what's her name again? I'm sorry.
Who? Howard?
No.
Laney?
The girl you said, Sally?
Sally, yeah.
Yeah, then you're going to have her coming off the bench, hitting her with the pick and roll in the low post game. I see them being a lot better with those players who were injured getting healthy and then their draft pick getting healthy. So I'm not worried. And I'm not saying this to be biased because we're New York Liberty and we do media for them. But no bias attended. To me, it's really helpful with the Liberty, and I see them being a lot better next year.
Okay. Do you see them making the playoffs this season?
Okay, you threw that this season in.
Yeah.
It's tough because they lost a close one to the Mercury. I would have loved for them to beat the Mercury and put their foot down. It's...
And I think they got back to,
they got Dallas coming up, if I'm not correct.
It's back-to-back, right?
Yeah. What spot are they in right now?
They're in the 9th spot.
So they fell out of the 8th spot.
Yeah, they got back-to-back games. Or no, wait, tomorrow's Monday?
Yes.
Okay, Monday, Wednesday. Yeah, every other. Yeah, so they got a game tomorrow and they got a game Wednesday, and both in Dallas.
So you put me on the spot. F it. We've been covering the Liberty since 2011, since Cappy Poindexter was a point guard. Shout out to Panette Pearson and all them that was there back then in the days. Kia Vaughn and all them. We was there. We remember. I'm rocking. I'm 10 toes down.
You think they're going to get in?
I'm 10 toes down, Liberty.
Oh, boy.
I'm 10 toes down. Shout out to the Liberty. Been rocking since Cappy Poindexter. Poindexter was a point guard. Kia Vaughn and them. Panette Pearson. I'm 10 toes down. Y'all making the playoffs this year, man. Yeah. I'm standing on that.
You say so.
Oh, yeah. You want to put, what did Shannon Sharp say? You want to put some dew on it? You want to put some Pepsis on it, man?
Yeah, we got some Pepsis on it.
We're going to put a case of Pepsis on that, man.
I would Pepsi, you're gonna what, bet they're in?
Yeah.
Right.
A case of Pepsi, man. I'm standing 10 toes down on it. I'm rocking with the Liberty, man.
All right. I'll be the bad guy and say they won't. Not that I believe they won't. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna make the bet.
Okay.
All right.
Shout out to the Liberty.
Shout out to the Liberty.
So where we want to go with this next, man?
So I think. Did you want to talk about some hip hop?
Yeah, man. Because I threw the alley a couple times. I threw the alley a couple times with that contract situation. So in hip hop, since we do hip hop content as well, there's been a lot going on. We can't cover it all. We're gonna talk about New York radio if we have a few minutes left. But for like 5 minutes, I want to talk about this Mase situation that's going on. So for the people who you're not tuned into social media, Favio Foreign spoke out on $1 Million Worth of Game podcast with Gilly and Wallow, where he alluded to the fact that he signed to Mase. He's still in that contract, and the advance was $5,000, and he just left it so open-ended. So of course the internet went crazy. They was calling Mase Diddy 2.0, and then Mase got on camera. He was like, Diddy 2.0, and then he had to give his side of the story. Just to like summarize it so we don't stay here for a half an hour on this topic. From Favio Foreign's side, he kind of felt like Mase didn't put enough into him. That's what I'm getting. I'm going to give you my analysis of why he did it, which was a clever move on his side. From Mase, when he cleared it up, he put some things out there. He said, yes, he's telling the truth. I initially gave them $5,000. But then later, when I brought him back to the record label, I helped him negotiate a deal where he got $750,000. See, that's the part he left out, but I know why he did it. Then Mase went into the whole, helping him get shows, helping him with some lingo, and so forth and so forth. So not going to stay too long on that topic. Let me give my viewpoint on Favio Foreign's side. And I'm going to give something that Mase said. So I didn't know Favio Foreign was that his age. Mase pointed out like he's 32 going on 33. So labels was not wanting to sign him because of his age. I thought he was like 25 or something.
Yeah.
But he's like 32 going on 33, allegedly. So from Favio Foreign, he's heating up right now. He is one of the voices of New York. I got to give him that respect.
Right.
I honestly think the reason why he put that out there to the media was the same reason why Mase blew his stuff out with Diddy to the media. He wants out of the contract because he alluded, I'm still in that contract. And I get it, but this is my PSA to rappers, and especially since he blew up that you're 32 and you just signed that deal recently within the last year or so. So you signed a deal over 30. You wasn't some 18-year-old kid out the projects that didn't know no better. So respectfully, miss me with that. People have to stop saying, I just signed a contract without reading it. I just signed a contract. We're in the entertainment business doing media, obviously. So if anybody brings us any types of advertising deal or deal, the first thing I'm going to tell you, is let's spend $1,000 and book a consultation with a lawyer. Don't know how much it costs. I just do $1,000 out there. It might cost less, it might cost more. Let's book an entertainment lawyer so they can read the contract. I don't care how good it sounds. I don't care if they're saying, hey, we can guarantee you guys $500,000 in ad revenue. Azar, let's book a consultation with a lawyer and let the smart guy with the law degree read through this nook and cranny so we're not crying 2 years saying we're signed to this deal. I'm getting real confused with you rappers who know everything. You guys are so smart. You guys know everything. You can't tell us nothing. Don't give us no advice. But then y'all crying less than 6 months later. I'm in this deal. Anybody put a gun to your head? No, right? My PSA to you rappers is respectfully, learn the music industry. Now, there are some cases where some young guns who's 16, 17 get taken advantage of. But in the last few years, a lot of you rappers over the age of 25, some of you over the age of 30, are looking like Boo Boo the Fool based on yourself.
Oh, God.
You're given the stereotype of why rappers get taken advantage of. And I'm looking in the camera on this. Respectfully. There is no reason, especially if you have some ad revenue off your YouTube channel, or if you don't, that if somebody says, hey, I'm taking you to Puff, Hove, whoever, and they might put a contract in your face, that you shouldn't have some legal representation with you. Let me help you guys out. Let me give you an analogy. When a young person goes into the courtroom because they got caught with a crime, what is it better for them to do when they're facing 15 years? Is it better for them to rock with a public defender because they just don't know no better? Or is it better for somebody, especially if they care about the freedom, if they have the finances? I know that's privilege. If somebody's able to get them a lawyer, is it better for them to get a paid lawyer, or is it better for them to rock with a public defender? Go ahead. I'll wait. This is what some of you artists are giving when you sign these contracts, and then we see you complaining on Instagram 6 months later. PSA to rappers, get your shit together. You go ahead.
Yo, I think you said it all for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand how you get caught in a deal like that. Like, we're in 2022.
This is what I'm saying. Like,
we're in 2022.
We've been doing hip hop media where we've been interviewing artists since 2010, and there's an artist that I want to interview again. He's from Hempstead, Long Island, product of G&B. I'm not gonna put his story out there, but he had an amazing story. For you young bucks that don't know, that's the guy that sung Maria Maria. That was with Carlos Santana. Amazing story. There's some things that he told us in that interview that I still remember. But it's like,
and off the record.
Off the record. This is why I'm not going to put it out there now until we get a newer interview with him. So to let him fully tell his story. We've been hearing stories since 2010. It's 2022 and we got the internet. I'm sorry for being funny, but we got the internet now. You can damn near Google some of these contracts. You guys are still falling for the okie doke. It's not like he gave you $250,000 to change your life.
Right.
He gave you $5,000, but you knew what his cosign would do. That's where a lot of people are different with you at. You're not going to tell me you didn't know what a Mase cosign was going to do for you. But yeah, I don't want to ramble too much on, but you want to give your opinion on this?
I just, the only thing is you guys know better and stop. And why? First of all, I mean, just do the work yourself. I mean, I know the cosign is important, but let's be realistic. Like, if you don't like the business side of what you think they can do, because as Favio Foreign has expressed, do the work yourself. You're gonna eventually get to that point. Let me say something, because I don't know if we have time to talk about this topic, but with the other topic with the dude, it was Rock Nation. I heard I was more glued to you when you was just doing your thing independently and had your mixtapes, and I was watching for videos, and when you was at MMG, even before you got there, I was watching you. I didn't really care where he was going. From
jail, when he had the messed up braids.
Right. So my whole thing is, why do you keep signing to these bum ass dudes? Stop.
No, I can't do that. Not these bum dudes.
Not bum dudes, but I'm sorry.
Respectfully, these weird deals that y'all complaining
signing
about.
These weird deals. There's no reason for you to sign them. There's none. And let me say this on the flip side of it, because I'm not excusing these older veterans
that know better.
Y'all and especially people that were taking publishing.
Stop being black capitalists, but that's a whole nother topic.
Yep. Y'all be ashamed of yourselves. And from what the stories I'm hearing, and it's the same story, you got this not with Favio, but for a lot of the other stories. This is what destroyed New York hip hop. You had a lot of these young kids coming, and they all fell up under certain monikers, and their careers got destroyed, and we never heard anything from them. That is y'all's fault. So when these young guys want to come flying upside your head, I'm all for them doing whatever they got to do. I don't feel bad for you or nothing. You knew better. And yet still you let that kid come in there and sign that contract, taking that kid's publishing. You knew better. If somebody did that to my son, you better watch your back every day. I can assure you that would happen. Y'all know better. And y'all still doing it to this kid that don't know the business. So then when this kid flips out and y'all looking like, well, he's just a disgruntled. No, he ain't. You gassed him up. You made him sign a contract that you didn't know no better, and you played him. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nope. I'm just going to say real quick again. It's a topic for another day.
Yes.
Black capitalism. So real quick, we got a few minutes left. We're going to briefly touch on it because I'm a segue. So shout out to Vlad TV. I got no hate in my blood. He's a great content creator. He briefly did an interview with Tony Yayo. And Tony Yayo talked about how 50 Cent was supposed to sign a Puff after he got shot, after he built this big buzz. And Puff told him, hey, Playboy, we can't sign you. So to your point, 50 looked at it as, damn, New York is not giving me a shot. The veterans in New York is not pitting me on. I had to go to the West Coast to get my deal.
Right.
So I see the vitriol he had coming up in hip hop. So let's transition into what's going on. Do you want to talk about New York rap, or do you want to talk about that Rock Nation situation?
I'll let you lead this one. Which one is better, you think?
I want to say the New York rap because that was the segue.
Okay.
So I see why 50 Cent was somewhat disgruntled coming up into the game that he had to sign to Dre when he was right under Track Masters. Again, shout out to Vlad TV and that interview that he has right now with Tony Yayo. When he said that, you got to look, damn, I can't get my deal in New York. I got to go get signed by a dude from Detroit that's under a dude from LA. What are we seeing in New York hip hop on the radio station that just happened when we was on our break? Artists is like, yo, New York hip hop don't sound don't sound the same on the radio, especially with the loss of K Slay. Rest in peace to K Slay. We're not seeing those certain artists. And then people were using the excuse, well, a lot of these New York records aren't top 40 records. Let me tell you something. I just came back from a little family trip. And I drove 20-something hours somewhere. I'm not going to tell y'all where, y'all little internet weirdos or whatever. But when I drove through all throughout these regions, I heard artists that sounded where they came from on the radio. So if I was driving through North Carolina, there was somebody that was like, oh, yo, check out this North Carolina artist from such and such. And it was playing on that station. When I drove through Tennessee, Glow was that girl, what was that acronym? FNR, I don't want to say the word, but
I know what you're talking about.
She just signed with Gotti. Damn sure heard her. So we got to stop with these excuses that, oh, there's not enough top 40 records coming out of New York. That's why it's not playing a Hot 97 and Power 105. And that's why we got to blend all these other regions in, and that's oversaturating the New York sound right now.
Right.
It got so bad where Pete Rock and Conway and all these people had to call Flex out for it. And then Flex got defensive and then talked and posted memes about, Pete Rock this and Conway this. And then what did he do the next day?
Challenge
artists to start cementing records.
Yeah.
Wow, Flex. It really took all that for you to support New York hip hop. Not saying you didn't, because to your respect, you do play certain records. We heard Kaya Baby and a lot of records that you played from underground artists. But why did it have to get to that point for you to start playing what New York shit sound like? Go ahead.
There's a lot of artists that's come out, but let me also make this clear about New York too. It ain't just the DJs, and there's a lot of veteran MCs that I do respect. Let me just say this real quick. So I'm gonna put out names, and you'll do the math and do the equations. There was a movement in New York that came a long time ago, maybe a few years. This is when the DVD era came out. True Life was out there. Stack Bundles was out there. Mano was out there. J Hood was out there. Who else am I missing? There's a female I'm not thinking of right now at the top of my head. But the Uncle Murder, True Life, they were all there. Okay? So don't feed me the mess that is just the DJs. It was y'all vets that was letting it go by the wayside, and y'all just let them just fall. So don't tell me that it was Jaja, Max B, all of them. Y'all let them fall. While y'all sat up there and ate off them talents, y'all can say what y'all want. I think y'all are legends or whatever y'all where y'all moved. But let me tell you something now. There's Kaya Baby. There's Nino Man. There was Fred the Godson. Rest in peace. There's SNS Icy Gang. The whole movement. Shout out to Harlem. Yup, the whole movement. There's a new kid coming out of Brooklyn too. But there's a bunch of them.
You was telling me Nakara's name. I forgot. Yeah, Simba? No.
Simba's on the West.
Okay.
But that's all good. Him too. What I'm saying is that there's talent on the East Coast, and y'all take them and put them up on monikers, and we never hear from them again. That's not the young kid's fault, because you convinced them to go over there. There is no reason why Uncle Murder doesn't just... He has a classic mixtape with Mano, but Uncle Murder should have a classic album sitting somewhere that's been out and been released. True Life should have never been in his situation. Max B, Jaja, Stack Bundles... who else? I don't care how anybody feels about it. You can feel whatever you want. At the end of the day, it's funny how your catalog's here, but their catalog's nowhere to be found. That's under your watch. And when I hear certain artists, and I know it's easier for me to sit here and say this because I'm not the artist / label. You can't ask these guys to come up under your brand and say to wait and be patient, and then you turn around and just put them up under the weight. We don't ever hear nothing from them. It's because you dropped the ball. That had nothing to do with nobody else. That was you. So don't sit there and say, well, they forgot about they say, I'm sorry, real quick. They say, well, they ain't remember what we did for them. What'd you do for them? What you do for him?
I don't know this kid's situation.
Mind you, they catching the heat in the streets for some mess that you done caused out there.
Thank you.
And they doing all that, and they going to war for that. And mind you, out here, you taking advantage of this kid. And let's not even forget about young Chris, because yeah, you took advantage of that too.
Young Chris.
We know who did that wrong.
Shout out to Busta Rhymes. But there was a kid from him called Reek the Villain from Long Island.
You only got one. I want to know what happened to Pryor. I want to happen to J Doe. I want to know what happened to. There's a video that we got on our Instagram page. We're scratching him and was introducing him the whole new conglomerate. I don't know what happened with the deal, but these young kids was ill. And somehow we ain't never heard from them again. That was under your watch. So I don't want to hear the conversation about it's just the DJs. It's them old school dudes that don't want to let go of the belt. I don't like just be honest, man. Don't like, and to be honest with you, when something bad happened to them, well, they'd be like, well, this is the problem. We don't stick together. You didn't see T.I. doing that with Grand Hustle. There was artists that never came out that I knew because of how he was pushing them. So it's the same thing. Like
he stuck behind Iggy Azalea when Iggy Azalea was saying some crazy things. Yeah, and getting some heat.
Right.
He ate that so he couldn't eat it no more.
Facts. And the thing is, like, it's like with the South. So I'm seeing how they're all pushing and doing what they're doing. Y'all should be pushing these artists. Thank God. And to be honest with you, I hate that Sub-Zero doesn't do what he used to do with DVDs on another page. He was another one, just like Slay.
Shout out to Sub-Zero.
Gave all that young talent from New York the opportunities and chances. Him, Fendi, Cutmaster C, French Montana, they gave the opportunities. Nobody else was doing it. Because the rest of these dudes was too busy trying to hold on to a belt and keep these kids' catalogs. These kids is writing your music.
And let me also say, son. Yeah, also forgetting upstate New York. That's a whole, we can't get into that right now. Let us get into that. Shout out to Buffalo. Shout out to Albany. Shout out to Rochester. Shout out to Syracuse. Yep. BARS. There's a lot of bars up here. Y'all leaving out all these artists upstate New York too as well. And it's hurting y'all. Y'all talking about, oh, well, yeah, we recognize them dude. I saw the little memes. Oh, yeah, we respect Buffalo. Well, there's a whole bunch of other people, you know, outside of Buffalo and Rochester and Albany and Syracuse. That's a whole nother issue. But go ahead.
Yeah, let's just say this to finish it off. I saw a lot of, and let me say this because you said we weren't going to go into this part, but the point I do want to make is he can say whatever he wants. When that so-called dynasty broke up, a lot of people went with you. To this day, yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Till this day, because we gonna leave it alone. We ain't gonna go in deep to it.
It's The Rock.
You can't answer me what happened to all those artists. See, you keep talking about what you're doing, and to be honest with you, somebody threw a shot, and I kind of agreed with them. Like, I don't know. He's going to have to answer that question one day because I noticed nobody really ever asked him. I don't care about your therapy life, man. Nobody cares about that. Let's talk about what you did. You got these kids coming over here to you, right? And you got them coming in. You got them throwing up the sign and with the chain and all that. The Young Guns album flopped. 50 called you out about Freeway's album that flopped. Beanie Siegel, that flopped. Everything flopped. Your projects, is it True Life? Uncle Murder never came. Or when Uncle Murder went to 50, he's dropped music and videos, catalog, videos, everything. I ain't seen nothing of yours flop though. Everybody else got flopped, and PD Crack, all of them, they all got left.
J. Cole had to do it by himself.
But you ain't flopping. How is that possible? You gonna ask, and let me put this is the main point I want to make. Don't worry, I'll cut the check. Listen to what I'm saying. The main point is like you asking people, you can't ask somebody to come over there and follow your lead, and you don't, and you lead wrong, then you got to deal with it. We ain't gonna listen to you no more, and we gonna diss you. I don't know why people keep going. Stop going over there, man.
Just say it, man.
Look at. It's not just Jay. It's not just Jay.
Okay.
But I will say, I'm not scared to say nobody's name. It's not just Jay. The thing is like, because and he's gonna have to answer this too. With Jim, it didn't look good. With Juelz, it didn't look good.
With Skull Gang,
it didn't look good. I don't know if he answered on Drink Champs. I still ain't seen that interview. The Bird Gang thing, that didn't look good. The Rock Nation thing, it didn't look good. What is it? With 50, I don't think you can talk about the Yayo and Banks and them.
You can't.
You can't.
This is why 50 said. This is why. I'm not saying because I don't know all the inner workings behind the scenes. I'm not from Queens. I'm not going to jump in Queen politics. But one thing he said was, outside the music industry, if this was a street situation, something should have happened to them because of the position I put them in, and they had enough nerve to throw shots at me. This is why I think respectfully, say this respectfully, I think why Tony Yayo's back over here and 50, maybe they work something out behind the scenes, but Tony Yayo knows, like, yeah, how he would have not did what I was supposed to do, how he would have not did what he's supposed to do, I wouldn't be on tour. And respect to Tony Yayo, he's been admitting it out of his own mouth. He'll do an interview, be like, yo, thanks 50, because he knows the position he's in. But I just wanted to speak to your point.
It just goes to show, like, see, when 50 did that, it made a lot of people look bad. when Banksy and Yayo, he did not have to come out with an album for G-Unit. He didn't have to do that. So he did everything he was supposed to. Not was supposed to, but he did everything he could do. So when I hear the dudes that, and when it started blowing up, he started bringing new acts. To this day, have you ever seen Olivia really on TV anywhere? And it's not a shot at Olivia, other than Love and Hip Hop. Have you seen her anywhere?
Shout out to Olivia.
Really?
Man.
So my point in what I'm making is she's an ill artist. She's talented. But she didn't get if she would have went anywhere else, she would have never been on those hooks. How long did Bridget Kelly sit on Rock Nation, and did we really even see anything? You saw one video with one song, and we ain't seen it yet. We ain't seen nothing else yet. Then when she's singing out in Coney Island, man, let's keep it 100. So understand that's all you got. I remember all those projects and all those artists. And the thing is, when Jay was asked about it, when he actually did answer it,
was Dondria over there, or was she at So Deaf?
No, she was at So Deaf.
Okay, my bad. Shout out to Dondria.
When they was all over there, he said, "Yo, they wasn't learning from what I was telling them. They ain't asking for you to tell them, man. They looking at it because from what I know personally, I have very well connected sources in that situation." They went over there because they thinking what it was like when Damon was there. So they thought you was going to do the same thing. What they didn't realize is you was just still the artist and you wanted to be the man. There's no reason why Young Chris album never came out. Don't you dare sit there and say that. You come out with Memphis Bleak album that had one video, one single, and we ain't never hear nothing else after that. And I don't want to hear that he didn't want to do it.
Bleak is still in my will somewhere.
So on an artist point, on the East Coast, they are responsible. Whether they want to take advantage of it or not, I don't know what happened with D Block and J Hood, whatever happened, but J Hood was right. I never came out with anything. I kept getting appearances, but I never came out with an album. These dudes was dropping albums all day. Y'all couldn't put up the money? So what are you going to really say about that? It's the same thing I know Remy Ma and Fat Joe did to their issue. At least with Fat Joe, he tried it. I think with Fat Joe, he got too overwhelmed. There was too many people. Because he did try to get everybody out. He put the Terror Squad out. He put Remy out. It just didn't work out the way it was supposed to. But let's just be honest. A lot of what is going on, that's their fault. Do not tell me you ain't know. You knew. You knew what you was doing to these kids when they came over there. And I don't want to say kids in a way of saying like they don't know. It's I'm just older man, so I'm these young
you in your old school bag.
These young kings, these young queens, you can't do that to them. They didn't end up in these situations because you was taking care of them.
And this is why the South
is one.
I know people don't want to hear this. Let me put this out there. New York all day, from upstate New York, so I'm a rep for upstate New York as well. Mm-hmm. But just for the sake of argument, I represent New York all day on the hip hop scene. But I understand why the South is going to continue to be on the road. They might be on another 20-year run, and you don't want to hear that. Yep. Because they learned from the mistakes. Looking up, they said, oh, wow, you guys are great lyricists. You guys got all the bars. But God damn, y'all not sticking together. I've heard, we saw personally, even with people we interviewed, got the hell up out of New York, moved down to Atlanta, and they're already in songwriting sessions with this producer and this person. There's just a certain continuity with when you hit down there. And that's not the only region I heard. I heard that's going on in Texas too, all throughout the South. Even on the people who are not getting signed. This is why we hear so many acts. They get down there a year later, pre-COVID, and then start getting shows and getting paid and getting appearances and moving around where you could be up in New York for 15 years and you right down the street from such and such and you right down around the corner from this studio and you used to intern with this person and you put in 5 years over here and you barely can get features. Yeah. Now maybe some of y'all sorry, but me and you from doing media since 2010 know a whole bunch of cases that's not the situation. Yeah. Facts. That's what you're speaking on.
I want to hear, let me tell you what I want to hear since we now got some little space to work with here. The challenge I want to see is bring back the East Coast talent.
So not just play a record and then 2 weeks from now it's over and you go back to normal.
Bring back the East Coast talent. Meaning, in other words, like Nino Man, SNS Ice and Gang, the whole Icy Gang, Rich Ice, SNS Ice Gang, the whole crew. If they know they all out there, they know Harlem. I want to hear Kaya Baby. I want to hear when what's her name? What's the girl's name that does with Kaya Baby? We interviewed her.
Oh God.
No, I'm talking about
Yeah.
Naima Supreme.
Naima Supreme.
I want to hear when Naima Supreme comes back. I want to hear from Dragon.
Lola,
I want to hear from
Lola Brooke from Brooklyn.
I want to hear Lola Brooke from Brooklyn. I want to hear all those young cats that was coming, and even the vets that have Iron Sheik. I want to hear their records. I don't want to hear the same vets keep coming and they like, yo, you know, we keeping it alive. Why y'all not bringing these dudes out? Why is Chris Rivers not? He doesn't have any records being played. But y'all be playing his pops all day, talking about we love Big Pun. Oh, really?
And his son
really?
Out here. I don't know his situation, but that kid has dope music. We interviewed him 8 years ago. Kid has dope music. He knows how to make records. I
want to hear Reef Hustle's records. I want to hear Hot Water's records. I want to, and y'all look them up. We're not Googling. Y'all can go look on our website. We put their videos on there too. Because unlike these dudes that talk about their complete hip hop culture, we the only ones that put their stuff out. Shout out to Simba too. That's on the West Coast. That's just coming like left field. I never knew who he was until I started looking at his page. This kid spits, and he's just an ill dude. Just illmatic.
Can I shout out a few from upstate New York?
Go ahead, brother.
Shout out to 38 Special. They call him the Jay-Z of upstate New York. And I know y'all rock with, Buffalo, but there's more cats out there. You got Che Noir.
Can I say one more name? I'm sorry to cut you off. Shout out to Verbal Warzone and their artists, and check their battles and check everything that they're doing, because they all have dope stuff and they go on tour and they do everything. Check their YouTube page. Check everything they're presenting. We put them also on our site. So I don't want to hear no more about these media sites like that or people that got morning shows and be like, yeah, we push it. No, you don't. I ain't never seen these dudes and never seen their records being played ever. So don't try it. But go back to what you was gonna say.
Shout out to the Che Noir. Shout out to Trust. Shout out to 38 Special. Shout out to the cats here in the Capital Region. The cats Pesci, US Bay. There's a bunch of cats in Albany with talent, man. Shout out to my 518 city. So we just named upstate New York artists, producers, and we just named the cats in the five boroughs. So we not just naming 3 names that we know because we interview. You just named a whole bunch of underground artists in the city. I just named them in upstate New York. Yeah. But go ahead.
Let me say one more thing. The last real movement that we saw that had a pop, other than because now what's his name? What's the Benny and in Sim for Life, Sim for Less. If I'm not saying your name wrong, I apologize, Queen. But Sim for Less, Sha Rock, and all them. But let me make this also clear. Young Money was probably the last big, strong movement that I was seeing that got over into the radio. Nicki Minaj is from Queens and Drake is from Toronto. I can assure you, if they was under any of those monikers that those young cats like Uncasa and all them came from, you would have never heard from them ever. So it took a down, like Joe said, took a down south cat to bring me out. Took a down south cat to bring me out. Meaning, in other words, the point I'm making is for anybody that realizes this conversation I'm saying, when he had Lean Back, I don't even think Summer Jam booked him. I think John had to bring him out. If I remember correctly, Little John brought him out on stage. Hear what I'm saying again.
Lean Back was so huge.
In his own backyard, Little John had to bring him out on stage. So what I'm saying is to you is like the South gets it. They don't even care. They're like, yo, music. If you hot, you hot. Nicki was hot. Nicki was doing what she was doing. Wayne didn't care. She's from the East. Wait your turn. She was who she was.
Hell, even Jay Mills went down there from Harlem. He had his little run.
So I think these artists get frustrated, and when it's funny, you hear their stories. Because shout out to Cosmic Kev who talked to Jay Mills, and he talked about his story. He got caught slipping. So my whole thing is it goes back to what the artist like. I'm not. The one thing is, these kids are in, they're influenced easily. It's just what it is. It's just all around them. So they're going to just go with the popular card. Bet on yourself. It's like what I said about the quarterbacks and about being focused while someone to watching. Just stay on your craft, man. Don't try to go over to some nation and some touring company that nobody really owns.
Are we segueing in overtime?
Yeah, well, we've been segueing over time.
Okay.
I told you I was concerned. Do you stop following these dudes because these dudes ain't going to do nothing. Let me ask you something. This is not a shot at him, but I'm just calling it how I see it. What last real movement did you have? Since the Dame left, what last real movement? You got the hottest chick in the game. That's what you got. But if you take her away from that equation, What tour you gonna go on with what crew?
He put on J. Cole.
You think J. Cole gonna go somewhere with him?
No,
yeah, he ain't gonna go nowhere.
You didn't hear the sarcasm in my voice?
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, I know. I get what I'm saying. He ain't going nowhere with him. He ain't going nowhere with him. He can't bring Beanie in him with them. He can bring Bleak. I don't know where album Bleak got out right now. What I'm saying is to you is that sometimes you got to look at the bigger picture. Do you really want to go on tour with a dude like that right now? If he ain't got the hottest chick in the game, how many shows is he going to sell out? Who going to follow him? You're going to have to take Jim, who ain't part of your crew. You're going to have to take, I don't know, Wayne. You better hope Wayne jumps on there with you. I don't really know who you going to bring. See, when Rockefeller did their tour and they had Method Man, Redman, Bleak, and all of them and all that, they were rocking with Def Jam. But even after that, Jay could have, I remember when he did the tour with 50 Cent, he really didn't need to go on a tour with 50 Cent. You had Beans, Bleak, you had the whole crew. We all was rocking with them. PD Crack, all of them. The State Property, the Dipset. You had the whole movement. You had Nori, you had Cameron. You didn't even need to bring 50. So my whole point is back then you had an army that was rocking. You don't have that army no more. So I'm wondering who you gonna bring right now. If you're talking about the Rock Nation, that's cute. I mean, I don't know. Meek Mill just left, so I don't know who else you gonna bring.
You just threw that up in there. So can we end the last segment on that real quick? So we've been talking a lot about New York hip hop. We just went in on that topic and we just ended with the news that came out. Go ahead. By
the way, real quick, I'm sorry, engineer, if I'm yelling in your ear. Sometimes I feel like I'm yelling at you. All right, you good. All right, as long as you're good, my man. So go ahead, go back.
We just went in on New York hip hop, but we just ended that segment talking about the news that came out about Meek Mill's leaving Rock Nation. Mm-hmm. So we just said a whole bunch. Do you agree with that move for him?
Yes.
And also, how does that make Rock Nation look? Because he ain't the first artist to fade to black.
Yeah, I think I forgot the English singer. She wanted out of there too. She got out of her deal, I think. If I'm not mistaken, Bridget Kelly left. Meek Mill. Meek Mill is his own movement. Every time he drops music, we love his music. So I don't know why you went to Rock Nation. I guess they could get you into certain lanes that you can't get into without them. And I get that part. Now, to say this on the flip side of it, I don't know what he's doing. It ain't really my business. But from the outside looking in with Meek Mills, as a fan of his, I love that he's gonna go over here. He's gonna release all this music. I hope he gets praying to God and the world doesn't ever get shut down again. I hope he does shows. He probably can do more because he probably has more freedom. He doesn't have to go through anybody. So maybe he's got another hot producer. Like I think it was what's that kid's name that he was rocking with on those mixtapes?
He had
Jaleel Beats.
Jaleel Beats. He had there's a dude named Cardiac. See, I'm naming mixtapes from way back when they had a certain sound. Jaleel Beats, Cardiac, whole bunch of people. But go ahead.
That's right. So I'm looking forward to hearing, because it sounds like he's got that hunger mode back, and I think he doesn't want to wait, and I think he just betting on himself, and I love it. I think it's a great move for him. Now on the Rock Nation side, I keep hearing rumblings, but we've had issues before. So, when they were clowns, let me just say that, and I'm going to always say that, and if you ever want to do something about it, good luck and God bless. We know what will happen. So what I'm saying is that, relevant to that, you have to start understanding, like, I don't know what they really do. I think they do great for, like, athletes. I think, they do for actors or whatever they're doing. But from an artist standpoint, I mean, even look at the Jim Jones thing. I see that more on World Star and Jim Jones and them and Street Heat and Mano. Yeah. They're all pushing that. That's not right. If it's Rock Nation's behind it, I ain't seeing it. Let me just say that.
There's a whole bunch. I think, let me say this, and it doesn't make them wrong for the artists that did it for this reason. I think they aligned themselves with the look, the power look.
Right.
This dude, respectfully, shout out to Jay. He's a billionaire. He has a lot of branding opportunities. We're hearing about the power deals he does on the back end outside of hip hop with changing legislation.
Right.
Which that
it's
helped
dope.
me. Which
salute.
He helped Meek Mills with the bail reform, and I'm hearing he's speaking on certain things. He's putting in calls. He paid for the protesters to get out on bail. He did a lot of things behind the scenes of hip hop. I get that, and I respect it. I salute it.
Right.
But back to the artist situation. Dude has a bad track record with artists under him.
Facts.
Pushing him. And it's been called out not just by the media, so you don't think we're trying to get clicks. It's been multiple artists that was up under him, veterans in hip hop, that has called this out. Like you said, 50 called out the situation with Freeway. For people that don't know, let's give a quick 30-second breakdown. Can you break that down?
Freeway, for people that know, Freeway, I think 50 and Jay, Rock and G-Unit had a joint venture with Freeway. The way 50 explained it was he told Jay, look, you come out with that I forgot what the song was called. It was like Big Spenders. Big Spenders. So Jay was on it. And he said, yo, you come out because you about to come out with that Show Me What You Got. You got your whole album coming. It's a good cross promo. He said, the joint I got with Free, I'm going to follow right behind you. So when you drop that single and you drop the video, I'm going to come right back behind you once that starts dying down. He said, yo, the video never came out. He said, no promotion, no nothing. He said, Freeway's album just dropped. So he's looking like, what is he doing? He said, then he sees Show Me What You Got. He sees the video. He sees the joint with Christette Michelle. You lost one. He's just seeing it, and he's like, yo, Freeway didn't even. I don't think Freeway had a video for that whole album. The Young Guns, and let me go into deeper. This is when he started looking bad, at least from a customer standpoint. I know Jay doesn't care, but then I think the Young Guns came in like one single, never saw anything again. One single, one video. Memphis Bleak did one single, one video, nothing again. And no, the Young Guns, I don't even think they had a video. So Tia Marie got a phone call one morning saying she was dropped. PD Crack got one.
Selling 500,000 on her first album out, but that's neither here nor there.
Facts. PD Crack got one. He got a phone call. I don't even know what happened with Foxy Brown. One day she was there. I looked up. She was gone. So, and I don't know what him and LeBron had going on, but that clearly dissolved. It just don't look right. That whole movement of I'm going to go over here and I got my own movement and we doing everything, I don't know what you were doing. And you keep saying it was, well, they weren't listening to what I was saying. Jay, they're artists. They're looking to you to lead the way. And if you're not leading the way, see, you bring up Kanye. Kanye came in there with his own, he's like the Diplomats. Like Cameron and them, Cameron is his, the Diplomats, Jim and them, they're their own entity. So by the time they got to The Rock, we already knew who the Diplomats were. Right. They didn't get any artist introduction, nothing. They had to grind. People forgot about the Diplomats and what Cameron and them had to go through. So what they had to fight through and do their own thing. And Cam said it in one of the interviews. He said, we took advantage of the opportunities that were at Rockefeller. Where I think with the artists that went over there with you, they didn't take advantage of it because I don't think their mindset was there. Their mindset was to put out great music, sell records, go on tour with you, do shows with you. See, that's what they're thinking about. You know that. They don't have the entrepreneur mentality. Like Cameron did what he did. He said Cameron was talking about how they was selling mixtapes. They took a closet room or where they keep their records, and he used that to like set up an office and hustle the mixtapes out of there and push his music. But that's Cameron. That's the Diplomats. They're their own movement. They just linked on to you, but they're still who they are. They don't need Jay-Z to hold their hand. Those other artists ain't like that. You ask, it's like PD Crack said. He said, I was initially supposed to go with Cameron. Dame wanted me to go into state property. So he did it. You can't ask him to do something, and then when you want him to move in an independent way, you're like, well, you ain't listening. Yeah, I am. You need to help me. You dig what I'm saying? All these artists ain't gonna know it, so it just falls under the moniker. You know when these kids come walking in here, what you ain't supposed to be doing, man. And if you're gonna sit there and play stupid and be like, well, I helped in the best way, it's just like with Puffy. Puffy says the same thing every time. Well, they should have looked at their, because French Montana said, he said, yo, he didn't get my publishing. That's because you're independent and you knew what to do before you got to that deal. Had you been that kid before the Cocaine City DVDs, you'd have signed that deal. You'd have been over there doing Cocaine City and he took all your money because he knows the business. You don't know that. But you being who you was when you went and knocked on that door, nothing he could say to you.
Topic for another day. Black capitalism.
Yo, this guy.
You should read between the lines, but we're gonna go in on that one day.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple months down the line. I got a whole bunch to say about
the
that.
last thing I want to say, because I don't want to sound like I'm ranting. For people that are taking these artists publishing, you are trash. You deserve everything bad that happens or comes to you for doing that. You do not take an artist publishing. If you are going to do that, you might give it back to them or something, but you know better than that. That is the most grimiest, disgusting thing you can do to artists. You know, don't tell me that you don't get no money at their shows, man. You're taking their publishing. Really? You want to take this kid's publishing? Are you kidding me? Come on, man. I just can't.
Well, we said a lot. We went into some overtime. We done covered hip hop. We done covered New York hip hop. We done talked about sports, quarterbacks. You know, feel like we catching up, man. We went on a little break. But, you know, we're going to continue. Shout out to everybody listening, whether it's one person or whether it's 1,000 people. You know, we got a lot more coming in the near future, near weeks. We got some more football exclusives, some NBA exclusives, some hip hop exclusives. We got a whole bunch. Stick with us. Shout out to everybody, man. Envy Online Podcast. See you next time.
Out of here.